And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because remember, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, bro?
What's happening, brother? It's Friday, so it's nice to end of the week. How are you guys doing today? For all those listening, I see we got our morning crew out there. Wise Guy, Misfit, Pam. Good morning to all you folks.
What's going on?
Excited for the weekend, hopefully.
Yeah. What the fuck's a weekend? I'm always working, man. I don't take days.
Of course. Just
I think I've been working straight, no breaks for 4 years now.
Oh yeah, it's back to the grind.
There's too many good things that needs to be done, and
not enough hours in the day. Eh?
And I'm adding a son to this, so it's
yeah. When's that due date again? Anyways, that's coming up, isn't it?
July, between July 15th and July 20th.
Jesus, how you feeling about that?
I can't wait, bro.
Excited, eh? How's the wife feeling? She's probably excited too, just to get it out of her.
Yeah, she's fucking exhausted, bro.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know what they say? It seems to suck women's life out. Like it
literally does. My baby, my son's mother, she lost a tooth because it literally sucks the calcium out of your teeth and your bones. Like babies are fucking parasites.
So it had nothing with her not listening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your mic's off, man. Thanks, wise guys. Thanks, white guy. Thanks, Lee. What's going on, Lee? I haven't seen you in a little while. What's going on? Yeah, man. I've been looking for this for years, bro. It's it's a matter of finding the right woman to have kids with today, because men are at yeah, I corrected myself. I have enough of one, bro. One's enough. I don't need more than that.
Save on that one for sure.
Yeah, well, I can blame that on my French accent.
Yes, exactly.
This is funny. Pam is saying my mom had 8 kids and lost all of her teeth.
Yeah.
Fuck.
8 kids, eh? Jesus. Those days are gone.
She did her fucking job, god damn.
Oh man. She definitely
Fuck.
Yeah, she definitely played a role if that's
she helped repopulate Canada.
Yeah, no doubt. Those days are long gone.
Her.
Those days are long gone. The birth rates crashing all over the modern industrialized world.
Yeah, but man, I think there's a lot of reasons why, like
cost
of living.
Complex.
But cost of living is one too. But we spend a lot of time down south, like in Alabama. They start young, bro. Like there's people at the church that like there's young couples, they're married, they're 18, 19 years old, they're married. The girl's popping kids. She starts to pop kids. She's like 20, man. They get married. It's like buzzwing. There's a kid in the oven. It's like, I don't fuck around out there, bro.
Just popping them out.
Yeah, and they have big families. They're not only really big people, they have big families.
Literally big families.
Well, Alabama's the fattest state in the US, right? Like,
why is that?
They eat a lot of shit. They don't exercise much. I don't know if my friends from Alabama are watching this, but I've told them that. And you know what their answers were? It was fucking hilarious. We're number one. We're number one. Like, fuck. You know what? It is what it is. I'm not running on that one. It is what it is.
Yeah. That's really funny.
So man, we got a bunch. I'm going to run through what we got today, what we're going to talk about. So obviously we're going to talk about Trump and the visa crackdown that he's doing on Harvard University.
Yep, absolutely.
We're going to talk fast about Canada Post because they're on strike again. We've been speaking about it all week, but I think I'm going to show a video I made this morning because I did some more research and I actually broke down the amount of money that they've lost. It's fucked. we wanted to talk about, I found that subject to be very fucking interesting. The Conservative MP, Jivani, and his petition for foreign worker ban. Very fucking interesting, because I left that to you. You said you'd take care of it, so I did not. I like how I proposed the subject. I never fucking, I saw a post. I'm like, hey, we should talk about this. Haven't done any research, so I'm looking forward to see what you found. We will be talking about, there's a few more things I want to address. I want to address, Wise Guy was talking to me about this yesterday, for the, the ostriches at
Ostrich Gate.
yeah, let's call it that. Ostrich Gate at a BC farm, and the government has said that they will go ahead with the cull of 400 birds, but there's protesters there, so I got a good video for that. I was on Mark Carney's X earlier today, and he posted a new video bragging about a new tax cut and building homes. So I have video for that, but brother, I posted about this morning. I know, when you post something and you're like, yeah, this is gonna go viral. You just know this is one of them, and I'll explain to you why. I found a video of a reporter asking Mark Carney on how could he run on elbows up, considering how he has not been standing up to Trump.
Let me guess. Look inside yourself. Look inside yourself.
Mark Carney is doing what Mark Carney does, and he fucking avoids the question.
Yeah, he's good at that. He's definitely good at that. He's a politician by like a natural politician, as in avoids any
just
type
a
of
narcissistic asshole. So yes,
absolutely. Like I said, a politician.
He doesn't feel the need to explain himself to Rosemary. That's for that.
No. She needs to look inside herself for sure.
100%.
Hang on 1 second. My dog got itself stuck in the bathroom, and she's fucking yelling.
It's okay. I'll continue. So I want to show you guys a post that Billboard Chris made, speaking about Pierre Poilievre and the people that he chose to be in his shadow cabinet. I also found a very interesting fucking post this morning about how there's 2 parks in BC right now that only Indigenous people are allowed to visit. So the caption said that non-Indigenous visitors are now being turned away from 2 parks in BC, and obviously it's not racism.
Nope.
And I also wanted to touch on Windsor, the Windsor Lakeshore Recount. We got an update on that, so we will be talking about that too. But as you can see, there's a lot of fucking shit to talk about, because it never fucking ends.
It's a big day. Misfit.
They're all big days, bro. They're all big days, man. Having Trump as president of the US and having Mark Carney right here, we will never run out of fucking content.
That's right.
Never.
That's true.
Never.
Misfit. These are I don't think it's all national parks. It's some parks in BC.
It's 2.
It's 2. Yeah, got a pretty video of it to explain what's.
Yeah, your microphone's cutting off, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna. If it keeps fucking up, I've got a shitty one. I've got a secondary one I can use, but just let me know.
And you know what, Lee, she's absolutely right. So guys, if you're watching this on X, make sure to like, make sure to comment, but make sure to share. If you're on X, what really helps us out is for you to reshare the stream. But if you're on X, you should head to YouTube at the Poli Orphans on YouTube, because this is where, see, right there, ding, 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 ding. That's the conversation that's going on YouTube. You don't get access to that. You don't get to interact with those brilliant individuals if you're not on YouTube. So see, we're not shitting you when we're saying that the real conversation is going on YouTube, and you need to have access to it if you want to go participating with those people.
That's right.
If you're on YouTube, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to join our Or pay us a coffee scheme.
Yeah.
Our membership scheme. Make sure to join the membership scheme. It's $2.99 a month. Not only does it give you priority comment in the comment section, but it will also give you access to our members only Discord. And as you're going to see today, a bunch of the topics that we're covering come from the Discord server. And the whole point, like, I created that Discord because I wanted to continue the conversation. So it's awesome to have that conversation 2.5 hours a day. But imagine if you could have that conversation for 24 hours a day. Imagine that you didn't have to break your partner's ears about politics and conspiracy theories. You could just go talk to other people like us instead of pissing off your significant other. So you're welcome. But in order to join, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Doing our part for to keep the peace at home.
Well, the whole point is that we're trying to build a community. It's awesome to do this for 2.5 hours, but even I want to be surrounded by people that are critical thinkers. So if you're a critical thinker, participate in our membership scheme on YouTube. It's $2.99. Gives you access to our Discord server where you can not only post some good stuff, post what you want to talk about, but we might use your content on the show and then give you credit for it. So yeah, this is where we're at. And if you don't want to be part of our community, we accept bribery, and the bribery scheme is super chat. So if you want to make sure your voice is heard, click on that super chat button and slip us some $1 bills or multiple, whatever you feel like providing. All I'm saying is that we accept scheme. We have a coffee scheme and we have a bribery scheme.
So pick your scheme, right? Whatever scheme suits you.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on, Robin? What's going on?
Robin, Tony, how's it going? Robin says, not there. My grandma was one of 16 siblings. That's insane. Back in the day, the more kids you had, the more help you had in the farm. That's one of the big things, I think, is back in the day, kids used to be an economic boost to the family finances, and now they
were just little assholes.
Now they're an economic drain. And so once that fundamental shift has occurred, it kind of makes sense. You're going to go from an average of 10 to an average of 1.4 or whatever it is. But it's a real problem. It's a real problem. It's below replacement level, and 100%. We're going to have to figure out how to fix that. Right now, it seems like governments are doing it through immigration, but now we're also seeing some of the negatives of that, some of the downsides of that. So there's got to be another angle we can attack this from than just immigration. I've seen some like Poland, I believe it is, some of the European countries, Eastern European, are doing things like huge tax incentives for having kids. I think you get a break 25% for every kid you have on your income taxes. So if you have 4, you don't ever pay income taxes. To me, that sounds like an interesting idea.
Well, we talked about this before. Don't just give them a tax exemption or something. Don't give them money.
Yeah.
Just have, because obviously if you have that many kids, chances are that the woman is not working. Like, let's be realistic here. Means the men that's working, they could use as much tax break as they can use. And if they're helping you meet that 2.2 that we're supposed to have in order to compensate for the boomers that are dying
level, they say
we need to have those children no matter what. So why not make it as easy as possible?
100%. David says,
by the way,
Hungary. It's Hungary, not Poland. Correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Just as a question for you guys, because since we've added this, like, this is covering part of my my screen, and I normally run a banner, but I don't know, is it needed or not? Like, what do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer having this in the bottom? Or not having it?
I like the banner.
I'm not asking you, bro. I'm asking you.
That's my 2 cents.
Nobody fucking asked you. You're like my wife. You answer fucking questions that weren't fucking asked.
Yeah,
well, you need that, bro.
Right. Well, now since we're asking the audience, so what do you guys think about this Canadian flag? Because I got to say, I don't know. Is it a bit busy? Is my question. Do you think it's busy?
Because great on content.
When you see it side by side the way we used to do it with just a black screen, I don't know. It looks a little cleaner the old way, but I would defer to the audience. Whatever you guys want, that's what we're here for.
I personally fucking love it.
Leah,
love the banner.
The banner.
Not a favorite. See, okay, now you're going to argue. Now some people are going to say the banner is great. Some people. What are you referring to, Pam? Are you talking about the banner? You're looking about the
flag
actual
in the
background? Because, man, I got to tell you, it pops. If you're going live and you're just scrolling, you see the live, it just fucking pops.
It certainly pops.
Yeah, that was the whole point. On that note, let's get into it. 15 minutes. That could be a record.
That's a record, yeah.
15 minutes in. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about Trump's Harvard visa crackdown. So I know you got some videos for this. So let us know. Let's get us started. Let us get started.
Let's see here. We've got so here the first thing we'll play here is this is Kristi Noem. She's being interviewed on Fox News, so it's going to be obviously fairly friendly. More just so for informational purposes to give us some context about exactly what's going on here. So take it away.
Have been in place for a long time. You say it is a privilege, not a right, for American schools to be able to host foreigners on their campus.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this program has been in place for a very long time. These policies have been in place for a long time, and Harvard brought these consequences upon themselves. They have promoted and allowed violent activity on campus. They have allowed anti-Semitism, participation with CCP and Chinese infiltration and influence on their campus, and they haven't protected their students. So we have given them multiple opportunities to share criminal activity with us, backgrounds on these students, to let us conduct the oversight into this program that is our responsibility, and they have refused to do so. So today I sent them a letter that said they will no longer be allowed to participate in this student exchange visitor program, and that's up to 27% of their enrolled students. So it's significant. Any foreign student that wishes to get an education in this country that is attending Harvard and not participating in this criminal activity, they will have to find another university to go to, because Harvard has chosen instead to not protect their students and to allow this kind of violent and discriminatory action continue.
Yeah, so that's basically the gist of it. Up to 27% of students, and I believe it applies to current students. Like, it's kind of shitty for them. I think I heard one of the Trump admin officials was saying something like, if you want to continue your education, you have to transfer to another university. That's pretty wild. He's definitely not fucking around, and they're playing hardball. What do you guys think of that? What's your take on that, Nico?
I think he's been. You know what? Do you want money that comes from the government? Yet play ball. You don't? Do whatever the fuck you want. At the end of the day, he has the right to take the money away like he said he would. And he has the right to deal with those foreign students because that is a federal program. So he's whatever. I personally, I don't have a problem with that. I wish we did more of that in Canada. I'm in Montreal right now. We're a university town. Go around and you look at all those fucking Free Palestine protests, and guess what? They're all fucking 20-year-old students, and most of them are not even for fucking here. They're from either other countries, other parts of Canada. I don't give a fuck. At one point, you know, we need to. I like to see what Trump is doing in the U.S. to just put his foot down and say, "Hey, this needs to stop." Where do we go with this? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But we need to have that conversation. And this is the part that bothers me, is that we always refuse to have those conversations because they're hard conversations and we don't want to ruffle feathers. But fuck that noise. You know what? I'm tired of going downtown and always having fucking protests. I'm tired of seeing this shit. So it's okay for people in Ottawa to complain about this shit, but I can't complain about this because it's not the right type of demographic that I'm going after. Like, fuck this noise. If you're a student somewhere, if you're a foreign student, shut the fuck up, follow the law, go to fucking school like we brought you in for, and plain and simple. Like, it's not that fucking complicated. I don't understand what the big deal is here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely on the same page as far as everything you're saying about the you know, the pro-Palestine protesters, especially the tactics they've used. You know, shutting down the campus, harassing Jewish students. That's all. A lot of some of that even veers into criminal territory. As you can see here, part of this is Harvard refuses to hand over disciplinary records relating to foreign students, which, yeah, they should definitely be doing that. I'm 100% in agreement that I think Trump should be coming down on that. I like what he did, where he's just cutting off funds. To me, this feels a little bit like a bit too broad of a brush. I don't, I'm all for going after the actual students who are causing these kind of problems. I don't necessarily like a broad brush, no foreign students whatsoever. I don't think that's necessarily beneficial for America. Undoubtedly, there are lots of talented and hardworking foreign students, and I don't think you want to close the door to them just to go after the few that are causing problems. I would rather see him directed at those students. But overall, I guess I disagree with the tactics in this case. Overall, I support what he's doing in trying to root out that kind of antisocial, borderline criminal behavior by a certain segment of the student population.
But as it's indicated there, so we'll play devil's advocate. I will assume that what he's saying there is accurate. Like I can only base on what people say, right?
Yep.
If it is true that Harvard refused to hand over disciplinary record, that means that they have no idea.
It makes you wonder why too, right?
But let's not even go conspiracy theory. Just take it for if that is indeed true what he just said. Okay, cool. So you're saying that Harvard refuses to give you the records of the students that did something wrong. Okay, so fuck you then. That's fine. You don't want to give it to me. That's your choice. I can't force you. But what I can do is to make sure you get no other foreign student. So technically he's playing hardball. Harvard has been trying to play hardball while they're receiving fucking money from the government. Now Trump is saying, okay, cool. You don't want to discipline your students. You don't want to protect what he believes is a Jew problem, as in anti-Semitism. That's fine. I'll stop fucking funding your bullshit. You don't want to give me the disciplinary actions or the records of your students that could be foreign students so that I can investigate them? No problem. No more fucking foreign students for you. So the point is that he's playing the game that they're playing. He's just not fucking bluffing. Harvard has no fucking leverage. Literally, no leverage. The federal government can literally shut them down from getting money from the federal government or having foreign students. No problem. You say you're going to Harvard? Sorry, bitch, not going there. Is it the right thing to do? I don't think so. As you said, I think there has to be a middle ground somewhere. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if Harvard is playing hardball, guess what? You're playing. It's like Mark Carney playing hardball on tariffs, silently dropping the tariffs during his campaign while he's promoting, I will fight Trump. Yeah, guess what, bitch? You have no leverage. You're showing it by elbows up, sucking his dick every time you meet him. So, again, Harvard's fucking themselves. I guarantee you that if Harvard would simply provide the documents that they're asking for and say, you know what, we've allowed too much. We had a problem. You know what? You're right. We fucked up. No problem. What should we do? Like what would be acceptable for you guys in order for us to keep our funding and for us to keep on receiving our foreign student? Because you're right. There's probably a shit ton of really good students that are foreign that could go to Harvard and then will become great
scientists,
Americans,
engineers,
great American. Maybe go back to their wherever they end up.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they deserve to be in the US, or they deserve to be at University of Montreal that's recognized for their medical studies. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying we should stop it, but if you're going to act like an idiot and try to bluff, act tough when you hold no cards, Trump has a royal flush. What do you have? You have a fucking probably three cards that don't match and pair of twos. You got nothing. Harvard got nothing. And they're going to pay the price, and I'm going to be fucking laughing my ass off because at the end of the day, you know what's going to happen? The people that wanted to go to Harvard are going to go to another great university in the U.S. that's going to play ball with the government. Plain and simple.
Yeah. I think anyone dealing with Trump, whether you're the Canadian government or you're Harvard, you got to understand the leverage game. He's unlike any other president in that he's willing. The thing is most presidents are they don't use the full force and power of the U.S. government. They show restraint, and Trump does not. Now, there are pros and cons to each strategy for sure. And I'm not even making an argument for or against it, but you got to know it. You got to understand that's the new reality. You got to understand he's going to come at you with everything. And yes, like I said, and you were agreeing with, seems a bit heavy-handed, seems a bit too much of a, he's taking a hammer when perhaps a scalpel would do. But again, that's Trump style. He's going to do that. So you kind of have to. And, it just depends on the actual issue, right versus wrong. If Harvard was in the right, I would say they should be standing up to him no matter what. But they're in the wrong here. You can't protect criminal students. You can't protect students who are causing disruption. A group of students who are harassing other students, who are making the entire campus unsafe and unusable. So, yeah, I think Harvard needs to sort of understand that things have changed. There's a new sheriff in town. And the old ways are not really going to work. They don't have the leverage. I've even heard some things saying Trump's going after Harvard specifically because of a vendetta because Barron didn't get in. And I don't know if that's true, but even if it is, that's even more reason to be aware, to be careful here, because Trump's vindictive.
Don't they teach psychology at Harvard? Is there not people in political science that could maybe coach those fucking tards that are running that school? Maybe. Do they not have some of the best programs supposedly in the world? So
exactly,
maybe
right.
They should start talking to those people and say, yeah, we're not dealing with Biden here, bitches. So let's understand the art of the deal. It's a book that's been released since the 80s. I fucking have a copy. Maybe buy one. You've read a book, you're at Harvard.
Yep.
Buy a book.
Tony, appreciate that, sir. Thank you for that tip. And that's actually a great comment. Tony says, I watched a show last night about Arab countries refusing Palestinians because all they do is cause shit everywhere they go. That's really funny. Eh? Like the other Arab countries, the ones closest to them, Egypt. You ever seen fucking Egypt's border wall between Gaza?
They're like, you're not entering here.
Fucking that's a manga's wet dream to have a wall like that. You know what I mean? And of course the leftists never talk about that. We're expected to open our doors to people who it's not about race. If race was the issue, the Arabs wouldn't be saying no, but they are, because they understand that Palestinians, through their pretty unique circumstances, are essentially a people who are going to cause problems. Or have you seen the videos of the way they're teaching those first graders, and they're born into it. They're born into their public education system is teaching them to be terrorists, to be suicide bombers, to do all those things. And then you can't just send people like
not
that.
Be gay.
Well,
who said that? Yes,
not even just not be gay, but
that.
throwing them off the buildings. It's hilarious. Like the Queers for Palestine. Do you know what they would do to you?
I'm just messing around saying, because in Canada and the US, our kids are being indoctrinated and believing that there's 52 fucking genders, and over there they teach you not to be gay. So they do the complete opposite of what the schools are doing here. It's just it was a joke.
Exactly right.
I don't think I've ever seen I Love Big Women.
Ooh,
I disagree with you on the title, but you know what, bro? They need loving too. Are you black? Because most of the black guys I know, they like the big women. I'm just saying. Not trying to be racist, but that's a fact. Is it racist if it's true?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So I Love Big Women is saying, if we can arm Jews military to take back their holy land in Palestine, can we arm white people from Canada? Can we arm them and the US to take back their holy land in England and France also? Well, technically it's not holy. So I don't see France and the UK. Like, I'm of French descent, so I wouldn't say that France is my holy land at all. So I would never fight. I don't want to go there. Are you fucking kidding me? They're even more fucking socialist than we're in Canada. Like, woo. No, thank you. Keep it. Your microphone's not working.
It's an interesting strategy for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is I Love Big Women. You'll see that both, even though that Rob's a liberal and I'm more conservative than conservatives, I really don't give a fuck what's happening over there. I'm sorry, man. We got so much fucking problems here in Canada and in the US, where I spend my time half and half Canada, half US. And you know what, bro? It's not that I don't care. It's not my main priority. And they're both. Hamas is wrong, and some of the IDF is wrong. Whatever. This has been going on for. I'm a Christian. I've read the Old Testament. I read the new one, and you can read the Old Testament, and they're already fucking having problems. And this is more than 2,000 to 5,000 years ago. So you know what, Brack? It's been going on forever. I have no take. I have no take. But let's just say that even prior to 2023, when the last attack happened from Hamas, if you gave me a choice to go to Palestine or to go to Israel, I'd be fucking going to Israel. I'm just saying, as a white Christian that literally stamped his hand with his religious belief, I wouldn't live very long in fucking Gaza, bruh. Just saying. So
it's interesting how the left, the far left, how they kind of come to their positions. Like Israel, you would think would be the far left darling, right? They're the only country in the region that has, what you would consider like open-minded, tolerant society. Like it's the only society where there's actual gay people allowed to be openly gay. For all intents and purposes, Israel is far more in keeping with the values supposedly of the left, and yet they despise them. It makes you wonder why. And then Palestine, who is essentially against every single aspect of far left values, against, again, the ones they say. We all know oftentimes what people say their values are not the same as what they actually are. But it's interesting how that works.
Misfit. Yeah, Nico, that is just delusion. I have a lot of those. So I don't know if you're agreeing on something that I said or you're telling me I have a delusion. I don't know, because both are possible. I'll be the first one to admit. So just let me know what you're talking about, because I got no clue. I talk a lot, man.
Sasquatch. I wish colleges taught common sense and to think for yourself. We should live in a different world.
Bro.
That was what they're supposed to do, right? Like that's what they were doing up until from the moment they got, universities were invented till about, I don't know, what, 10, 20 years ago. That was
more than that. Way more than that. Like you're probably talking like 40, 50 years they started all that non-question bullshit, because the type of universities that we're seeing now were invented Italy/Greece, right? It's been going on forever around there. Like you have the Greeks method of questioning everything, and exactly the Socrates way of thinking, and that which should have been this should still be the main purpose of school. Critical think. Just somebody proposes something. What's the first thing that you do? Take it with a grain of salt. Take some notes. Go do some research. Once you've done some research, try to figure out where you stand on that issue. And once you think you know where you stand on that issue, try to debate someone that disagrees with you to see if you actually understand that subject or if you're actually correct. Those were the methods. Like I remember back in fucking secondary school, not in primary school, we'd have our little debates. Where the fuck did that go? Like, why can we not talk about this? And this had nothing to do if you choose to be on one side or the other. You were assigned a side. So let's say euthanasia, which was a big taboo 30, 40 years ago when I was in school. Well, 30 years ago when I was in school. Today, it's like 1 out of 20 Canadians die from euthanasia, or they unalive themselves by euthanasia. We'll talk about it later on today. But the point is that we used to have disagreements, and it didn't matter if you agreed. Let's say I don't agree with euthanasia. I could have been on the side of euthanasia, trying to convince other people that disagree with euthanasia, just to build a case, just to see
how debate. Where do I stand? Exactly. You're given the topic, and it doesn't really matter about your personal opinion. You just make the case. We got away from that kind of stuff, and that's the way that's the way it should be, because that teaches you how to look at different perspectives, right? How to open your mind, not just bury yourself into your own personal opinion and refuse to ever look at any other position as potentially legitimate.
And this to me is all it's supposed to be. It's called higher learning, not higher indoctrination. You should be going there and having your teachers should be encouraging debates, should be encouraging you to challenge your pre-made ideas and try to back them out or back them up with facts. Can I debate somebody based on my conviction? No. Okay, it's fine. How many times have I been wrong in my life? And I guarantee you I'll make more mistakes and I'll be wrong again. All good. All good. Learn to fucking question your beliefs and see where you stand, and then talk to people that disagree with you, see if you have something to learn. That's a beautiful thing.
Yep, 100%. Sasquatch says, I hate war, so the right and the left dislike me. I can relate when Trump says, I want people to stop dying. Yeah, it's kind of funny, hey, how
dare you?
If you're just anti-war, now you're not left or right. You're kind of a weirdo centrist, which is funny because the left, the only real question is who you support, whether you're left or right.
You need to take a stand.
They both love war, though, right? They both love wars as long as it's the right wars.
Yeah, the left is for free Palestine. The right, at least in the US, like, seems to be on the Jewish side. And I'm sitting in the middle. I'm like, there's problematic on both sides. I'm like, why is that big of a deal? To say, like, how about we figure out how not to fight? Or should we be sending money over there? No. Okay, cool. There you go. That's where I stand.
Wise guy says, Rob, I think you're being a little bit naive about the devoutness of the Islam people or Muslim people. Christianity is not taken seriously. Most come here to spread Islam, not flee it. Oh no, I agree with that. I'm perhaps
you had to go there, Wise. You had to go there, Wise guy.
No, I mean, I think in the West we're we really need to wake up to what Islam is first and foremost a political system. That it's a religious political system, but it is not just a religion. And the majority of the people coming here are doing so. They see them as themselves as Muslim first, and whatever country they go to second. They see it as their job to spread Islam in a way that is fairly unique. Christians are not really that kind of evangelical these days. Any Christian going to a non-Christian country is not going to see it as his job to spread Christianity, to do a Christian takeover of the government, but many Muslims do. And that's not a secret or, it's not a conspiracy theory. Just look at the polling. Something like 60% or 55% of all Muslims in the UK overtly want a Sharia law government. And then the other ones probably don't care one way or the other, but they certainly wouldn't oppose it. It's a real problem, and we in the West need to wake up to it.
Hold on. Let me just take this one because I find that interesting. I love Big Women is saying that real Christians would actually care that the oldest churches on the planet are getting carpet bombed with the help of Canadian tax dollar. Real Christians would want to preserve Jesus Christ. Are you a Christian? Because I will tell you, I'm a Christian as in I read the Bible. I don't go to church as much as I used to because I don't like what the churches are teaching. But I can tell you, bro, buildings have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. There's no way in the New Testament where Jesus Christ says you need to go to church in order to find me. You have a personal relationship with Christ. That is a two-way street between myself and God. Has nothing to do with going to church. So it seems that you're trying to do false equivalency as in we should protect them because that's the Christian thing to do because we want to preserve the buildings. No. If you can agree, if you want to make a case for helping them, it should be out of love for them. Has nothing to do with the buildings, bro. Because at the end of the day, buildings will fall. Buildings have no fucking interest in my life, but people do. That's why I give my time to help. I don't give money to foundations. I don't give money to the Red Cross, for example, that keeps 95% of the fucking profit in their pocket and only 5 to 10% goes to the person at the end that needs help. I help people with my time. That's what I do. And this is what that's what a Christian should do. So I don't have any power over there, bruh. I really don't. Should my tax dollar goes over there? No. I don't think we should give money to Israel. I don't think we should give money to Palestine. I don't think we should give money to Ukraine. Any foreign aid, if I was in power, foreign aid would stop today. Bang, no more foreign aid. Fuck you. Let's review where that money's going. Where do Canadians need that money? And I do the same in the US. That would be my fucking policy from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up religious, I'm not religious, but I did grow up in a very strict Christian household. And I know exactly, like when I saw that comment, I knew like exactly sort of, I could hear my dad's voice in my head. And yeah, it was that, the Christian religion, basically what you said, it's not about buildings or no land is sacred just because Jesus walked on it 2,000 years ago. Now, the Catholic Church probably is more about that strict.
I'm not Catholic. Rule.
Yeah, but the Protestant ethic, I think, would be, it doesn't really, like, land is land. The fact that Jesus walked on 2,000 years ago doesn't give it any special significance today, because what's important is your personal relationship with Jesus Christ and all of that stuff.
And by the way, he's not Christian anymore. I'm bringing him closer and closer to God, hopefully. But
Who, me?
he's not a Christian anymore. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I grew up very religious, and I got away from just the religious aspect of it. I'm still spiritual. I don't necessarily know. Honestly, I don't even really exactly know where I stand, but I'm not. I'm really opposed to sort of a lot of the rituals of religion, organized religion,
the dogma. It's the dogma that I can't
exactly.
stand. I can't stand it either. You want to take some comments before we jump to the next one?
Yeah, Sasquatch says the education system is like mainstream news media, a nation full of fake activists. Yeah, well, the education system is the OG of that, right? Like they're the ones who trained the people who then, it started in academia and it trickled over into the media. So yes, it's a good comment. 100% agree. But so many of these idiotic far left ideologies say they started on an American campus and then spread throughout the rest of the world. And it's kind of interesting that America seems to be the first country that's actually starting to push back on it. And maybe that's, poetic justice. Maybe they should be, because a lot of these ideas, a lot of these, what we would call woke ideologies really did start in academia and in university campuses, and most of them in American university campuses. Sasquatch. Nico, 100%. Both sides are not innocent. Only a fool would think otherwise. It's such a complicated issue. There's bad things done on both sides.
Every single war out there, you can find problems on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah,
humans unfortunately like to fight. I think this is a fact. I think nobody can argue that, really.
Yep. Nick says, except the far left is not open-minded. I don't know exactly what comment you're referring to, but yes, that is correct.
I agree. I don't even care what comment.
Yeah, you don't even.
I agree.
100%. Misfit with the most obvious truth bomb ever. There is only two genders, as every 5-year-old child in the world who's ever lived knew up until about 5 minutes ago. But yeah, it's crazy that we as adults here in 2025 have to say this obvious fact. But unfortunately, that is
boys have penises, girls have vaginas. That
would have been transphobic. That kid would have been considered transphobic today.
Oh, and he's a white kid, so he that he's racist on top of that, right? Sasquatch is saying no more foreign aid. Nico, you just won my vote. Well, I wish politicians had the balls to say that, but obviously that's not going to happen.
I think there's a place for, like, they call it soft power or foreign aid that has a point. Let's say there's a strategic need to get a certain country on your side for whatever reason. Perhaps it makes sense to do some, like, for example, the way that China is essentially buying influence all over the world through things like, they're building infrastructure in Africa. They're doing all sorts of things. There's a benefit to that. But to fund $80 million on an ad campaign to make sure Bangladeshis don't shit on the beach, that shit's fucking stupid.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, we're fine. We'll pass on
that.
They
can shit on the beach if they want. I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, and just I don't give a shit what they do to their beaches. And just as
a good choice of word, I don't give a shit.
Shit. And as a general rule, I agree with you, Nico, that until we really sort our own shit out, we don't need to be funding foreign wars. We don't need to be spending a ton of money. Like I said, if there's some strategic use where foreign aid might make sense to advance our country's interests, I would be open to that. But of course, that's not really how it's being used. What it's being used today primarily is to fund far left ideologies throughout the third world, and that is what needs to stop.
But that money's coming back, right? Which is why you looked at USAID. And they're like, oh, no, we can't stop this. And the Taliban's getting like $40 million a week. Really?
Yeah,
people that kill American soldiers are getting funded by the government of America.
Yeah, awesome. I can't believe that.
But this is my point. Where it goes. No, yeah, I think we can. I was not surprised. You know who was surprised? Jason. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, it is.
He was really surprised.
But at the same time, hey, man, I'm not surprised, but this is why we need to stop foreign aid right now. We need to close immigration in Canada and just kind of try to reassess where we sit try to see what's the damage that we've been causing for all those years, and take it from there. Because at the end of the day, man, we've been spending a lot of money that we don't know where it's going as taxpayers' money. And as you will see, like probably a great way to segue into the next one, but we obviously don't have a choice to mention Canada Post. We don't have a choice because it's in the news, obviously, because they're on strike again. But we talked about it all week. But I recorded a video this morning, obviously, so you can see I was exactly where I am right now, wearing the same fucking clothes. But I recorded this morning because I did a bit more research as per the numbers that we were seeing. You know, we talked about it yesterday, 2 days ago, and we're just like, the numbers make no sense. It's $3 billion, bro. So here's the update we'll give for today, unless you had something else, because I couldn't find anything else relevant outside of they're on strike right now.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Like you said, we got to talk about it because it's a big story, and we're obviously a Canada-focused podcast. But beyond the narrative of these fucking idiots, what are they doing? You know, these greedy pigs at the trough just asking for more money they don't deserve. That's kind of the only commentary we can do. And of course, we do that. We do say those things.
We do, motherfucker.
The Department of Redundancy department over here. But yeah, you're right. We do have to cover it. But we'll and what are they? I think they go on strike tonight at midnight. If I'm not.
They were supposed to start picketing today.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously it's a complete coincidence that they're doing that on Friday, not on Monday, right?
Oh shit, you're right. It's funny because there's a Canada Post facility that I could have direct line of sight from my apartment. I'm looking out and I see a couple of them out there on the sidewalk. Fucking idiots.
Okay, like let me play this, and then we can call it a day on Canada Post, since we've been talking about it all week.
Canada Post is set to go on strike today again. But did you know that not only did they refuse a 13% increase, but that Canada Post has lost more than $3 billion since 2018? And guess who is covering all those losses? Canadian taxpayers, of course. But it gets worse. The government of Canada just gave them a $1 billion loan in January to prevent them from going bankrupt. So we have a crown corporation that is on the brink of bankruptcy, that has lost more than $3 billion since 2018, and yet they want more money. Are you kidding me? So it's time for us to have a serious conversation about our postal service. Do we still need it? Should it not be privatized? All I know is that I'm tired of seeing our hard-earned money be wasted by our government. Canada.
So I just want to get some clarification here. They rejected the 13% raise, because I thought they were demanding a 13% raise. I thought that was ridiculous. So they were offered that, and they said
refused
no,
it 2 days ago and say
no.
That was not a demand.
Crazy.
That was what they refused.
I thought it was bad enough they were demanding that. That's what they said no to.
They said
Holy
no
hell.
to it.
Unreal. That's unreal. Yeah,
$1 million loan too in January 2025. The government gave it. So not only have they, so clarification, the $3 billion that I mentioned that they've lost, it's actually inaccurate. It is $3 billion until 2023, because they haven't posted their loss for 2024. And if you remember, they lost around $550 million in 2022. They lost somewhere around $750 million last year, and they were expected to lose even more money this year. And if you look at the trend, I did the calculation this morning between 2018 and right now, year over year, you're almost seeing a 50% increase. Because some years is more, some years is less. It's about a 26%, if I remember. Let's call it 30% between 2022 and 2023. So if that's the case, if you go from the 50% and you keep it to about 30, you should be looking at almost $1 billion loss just last year.
That's crazy. And as you said, there's not a whole lot.
But they want more money.
Yeah, and well, they're saying no to more money. They're saying no to 13%. And how much do you want to bet that $1 billion loan is going to be turned into? You guys don't have to pay us back that.
Oh yeah, they just have to repay in 2025, 2026,
which they won't.
But if they're,
yeah.
of course they won't.
Of course not.
I would love to see. I should have looked at this, but I would love to see the bonuses that those assholes at the top probably gave them. Remember in 2009, 2008, the fucking house market crashes. Obama saves them, give them a bunch of money, and the executive are like, "Hey, let's sign some fucking checks."
Yeah, I mean, I'm a believer in the market, right? I'm not anti-union by any stretch. I think unions have a place, they have a role, but it has to be within the free market system. It's not a free market system if the managers of an entity just say yes to whatever the union demands because they know that they've got a government backstop behind them. We don't need to make profits the way a normal company has to because we've got, Big Brother here to pay the bills. That's not free market principles. So I think, it's entirely within workers' right to unionize, but I think public sector unions are a big mistake. I don't think governments.
I agree.
If you're a crown corporation and you need a bailout, it should be everyone goes. The entire management gets cleared out, bring in new people, and start over.
Agreed, brother. 100%. We don't have a lot of comments. It seems on Canada Post because we've been talking about it all week. But I just want to take one, and then we can
on the religion one. If you want to take those before we
that's what I was going to say. So I don't want to make this about religion or anything. Like I try to be careful not to push my values on people because they're still my personal values. But Robin is saying, you are not an OG Christian, Nico. You are a new age Christian. It's true. Real Christian would feel pain about the church burning. Actually, that is incorrect. I am an OG Christian because I follow the Bible. I don't follow what's being taught in church. Nowhere did Christ say that you need to be in church. Nowhere. Show me where he said it because I read it. So where did he say that you needed to be in church? It's it's Paul that came after Christ died that started the church, not Christ. Yeah. It's Paul that started it afterwards. So the point I'm trying to make is that no matter what, I believe in Christ. There's nothing I can do about Israel. There's nothing I can do about Gaza as a person. What I can do is live by the values that are being taught in the Bible, and hopefully it will inspire others to ask me the question, why do you do what you do? Because I believe in those principles, and maybe that will inspire others to think about other people than themselves. That's it. That is what it is to me to be Christian.
And frankly, you don't like I said, I'm not a Christian. I'm not particularly religious, but I feel pain just from a cultural aspect. I think it's worthy to preserve some of these very old buildings that know what I mean. I felt strong feelings when the Taliban destroyed those 2,000-year-old religious whatever they destroyed, right? That's just because I value preserving ancient human history. But yeah, that's it's certainly an interesting sort of angle to see it from. And I understand why Christians would want to preserve those churches from a religious perspective. But again, I keep hearing my dad's head in my voice.
But they're beautiful. I love churches.
And those should be, that's not even religious. I
just like architecture.
Too. Yeah.
I've seen some Muslim temples that are absolutely fucking stunning. I've seen some Indian temples that are fucking stunning. I wouldn't want to destroy them. I wouldn't. I understand the type of work that went into building those buildings, right? So I like that, Sasquatch. Nico is actually right. He told the Samaritan woman at the well, the church is in your heart. He's been saying it from the get-go, and I cannot remember what her name is, but he also told her that you are not with your husband, bitch. You're not supposed to be fucking around and go back to your husband. So Jesus was Jesus in today's standard was an asshole. Like he said it out of love. But actually, yes, I agree with you, Sasquatch, but he also told her, you are not with the man that you married. He didn't say bitch, obviously. It's just me speaking the way I speak. But hey,
why was she coming on? Was she coming on as Jesus or what? Was she?
No. She was at the well looking for water, and Jesus told that the one
where she said, "If I'll draw water for your camel too," or something like that.
I believe that is that's the only story that I know about that would refer to what he's talking about. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but I'm not a no, but I'm not a Bible scholar. Get the fuck out of here! Go see your husband, bitch.
Yeah.
That's some Christ-like comments right there. Do you understand why I don't go to church?
Yeah, this made me laugh too. Sasquatch says this made me laugh when Nico said, "Hey, I love big women. Are you a Christian?"
Oh shit, that's
He said it sounded funny from across the room. I
oh,
love
that's
big
funny.
women. Are you a Christian?
I was just reading his title as his
Yeah, of
name.
course.
I was,
Yeah.
oh, that is fucking up. I love big women. Are you a Christian? Well, I did not
Yeah.
think about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Leah says, I get the sense that quote unquote religion is one of the oldest businesses in the world. All donations are currently tax free in North America. Yeah, I mean that's you know that's an angle to take as well.
Oh, bro. Okay, we can change that because I'm just no. It's just that I'm starting to look at the other comments that I love big women are saying, and he's so wrong, so wrong. Like he obviously has done a quick Google research and have not read the document themselves. But hey, it is what it is, man. I appreciate. You know what, bro? I love big women. I imagine you're a dude. Maybe you're a woman, but I love the. Thanks for the comment. I will always be ready to have those conversations, but I think it's time to move on. I don't want to make this about. It's not a Christian podcast. Is just a Christian and a liberal that talk about politics and culture. So
yeah, I'll just take a couple more from someone. Hang on. So Rob's, as Leah, kind of the same boat as me. She stands with spirituality, no particular religion in her life. Wise guy says, I once worked with a Muslim woman from Ghana who became a friend. She told me if her husband knew she talked to any non-Muslims, he would beat her. True story. This is this is kind of what we said. We've said a lot of times on here, like any immigrants to this country need to take a values test so that we know that they fit in here. If you come over here and you think you can, act like that, and your wife is your literal property, that's a problem. That doesn't jive with our values over here.
Nope.
So that's kind of what that means by and yeah, that's not an uncommon story either. If you want to move
the next
on,
one, the next one's yours. The next topic is about Conservative MP Jivani launches a petition to end temporary foreign worker program. And you know what? I'm very interested because once you said you take care of it, I didn't even research it. I proposed a subject, you researched it. Inform me.
Yeah. So actually, this one is this is a great video because it's straight from the horse's mouth. Javid, how do you pronounce it? Jivani.
I'm going Jamil Giovanni.
That's okay. Yeah, Jamil. That's right. So he's talking here about exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. Let's go to my bookmarks here. There we go. He's when I first I was like, oh, it kind of has a weird look to him, but apparently he just got over non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, so that's kind of, I don't think he has any hair on his body, so obviously I won't kind of chirp him about that, but I guess congratulations on that. To be cancer-free after 5 years has to be a nice feeling. So glad to hear that about him. And this
pierce what I would describe as the Ottawa bubble.
What does he has to say? Actually, I like what I heard when I put aside the liberal conservative for a minute. This just sounds like a guy, the kind of guy you want in Parliament or Congress or what have you. You're this is the kind of guy you want as a politician.
I've been thinking about how I want to approach the job as an MP this time around. And a lot of it, I think, is about, now that I understand a bit better how Ottawa works, trying to pierce what I would describe as the Ottawa bubble more often and more frequently. Over the course of the campaign, when you're knocking on doors and you're talking to people, you have a clear sense of how people feel about a lot of different issues. But oddly, when you come to this place, you sometimes encounter a culture here where it's not very clear whether people understand what the common sense priorities are of the average hardworking family. Liberals have been in power here for going on over a decade now. And I think their worldview, their priorities, their approach to important policy issues has shaped the way Ottawa works. And I'll give you a very specific example of that. The issue of immigration, right? So every day I'm knocking on doors and I'm talking to people of all different backgrounds and walks of life about immigration. And there's a pretty clear consensus, even across people with different political views, that immigration levels are just unsustainably high. Anyone who goes to a hospital can see there's not enough beds. Anyone who goes to look for a family doctor can't find one. You go to buy a house, there's not enough of those. You go to find a job, there might not be one of those for you either. And it seems very common sense when you're knocking on doors and you're canvassing and you're talking to people on the street that this is an issue that needs to be tackled. But we are now entering year 10 or 11 of a culture in Ottawa where you cannot even really have a sensible conversation about it. And it really should be hard. 100%. I'll give you an example. I'm canvassing in North Oshawa last year for the by-election where I first got elected. And I meet a gentleman who cannot speak English. Tried to talk to him, but communication barrier just made it hard. And very nice guy though. I see him again a year later in this most recent election, and he knows a little bit more English this time. And you know what he says to me? Too much immigration. And I said, sir, your English is impeccable. Now, he didn't know a lot of words, but he knew enough to get that point across because he knew what he was experiencing and feeling on the ground. You didn't have to be in Canada very long to see that. And that's what I'm trying to get across when I say what it looks like to bring common sense to Parliament. The first thing I'm going to do as the Member of Parliament for Bowmanville Oshawa North is launch a petition to end the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. This program has been a disaster for workers in this country. From January to October of 2024 alone, over 160,000 work permits were issued for this program. And a fraction of those for seasonal agricultural work might make sense, but the vast majority are putting a crunch on the workforce in this country. Youth unemployment hit 14%, the highest it's been in a decade, not counting COVID years. And a lot of young people are struggling to find their first job, their first opportunity in the job market. The wages for Canadian workers have gone down dramatically because of programs like the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. And I understand that the Liberals will say they've taken action on the immigration issue. Prime Minister Mark Carney just put out a mandate letter that said he wanted to reform immigration. But I think we need to hold them to a higher standard than just empty words. The Globe and Mail just published an article where economists are pointing out there are hundreds of thousands of people in Canada who have overstayed their visas and the government has lost track of them. When we say the immigration system has some very serious flaws.
It's only got 30 seconds still left.
And I can think of no better way to anchor how we move forward than thinking about this from what is in the best interests of Canadian workers and Canadian families. So I think things need to be shaken up around here. I think the Ottawa bubble needs to be pierced. I think common sense needs to be said. That is what I pledge to do as the Member of Parliament for Bowmanville Oshawa North, as a member of the Conservative Party team. I'm excited by the opportunity to be a voice for people who are often not heard in this country, and I will work very, very hard to do my best in making sure that they are heard.
So that's his whole thing. And when I was listening to that, I like the way he comes off. I like how he speaks, and I think some people might say, "Oh, well, he's a conservative. Of course, he's going to take that opinion." That's not necessarily a popular conservative opinion, too. There's a lot of people on the right, more so like the business conservatives, the business right, who like cheap labor, an easily exploitable labor force. So that's why the immigration issue seems like it seems like it's sometimes they pretend it's how we can't solve this, because a lot of people on both sides of the aisle want open borders immigration. So I like, Pierre
Poilievre never said that he would stop immigration. He still wanted to have at least 250,000 new immigrants every year. So the Conservative did not run a platform on stopping immigration. The only person that talked about it was Maxime Bernier. But I like
Yeah.
what he's saying. He's well spoken. I like the way he talks. He's not all over the place, like emotionally wise. Like it's interesting to see a politician that's not like me. Like the way I create content is the way I am. I am a very fucking loudmouth type of person. I take space, but he was very calm, very collected.
Soft spoken, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I like that
It's
in a
different.
politician.
It's almost different.
He
like
probably wouldn't be a great content creator, right? Not super exciting to watch, but as a politician,
but he's not exciting.
No,
he's not exciting. That's
he
for
isn't.
sure.
And
It's
you know,
kinda
as a
boring.
let's leave the excitement to the content creators and leave the sort of level-headed, even keel temperaments to the politicians. Like I like that as a politician. Again, not the most exciting guy to listen to, but like to me, he just seemed like the kind of guy that you want in, and that's besides even the specifics of what he's talking about. Just the way he seems like he approaches an issue. He seems genuine. He seems like he really does listen to and care about his constituents, and we need more of that. But as Sasquatch says, his message is also spot on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. He's from Oshawa, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Oshawa, and he yeah, like he said, you know, a lot of people are overstay their visa. And one thing that's crazy to me is, now this part is mostly on the left, but like if you even say, you know, maybe we should get rid of illegal immigrants, they're like, wow, you can't do that. That's racist. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if someone overstays their visa, kick them the fuck out. You know, we don't need to send them to an El Salvadorian prison, but you do, you know, you don't got to go home, but you got to get the fuck out of here.
You just can't stay here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Closing time. I don't understand how this became. There's even people on the left who will say, oh, well, you can't. And you see it in the UK a lot where, you know, Pakistani immigrants are successfully fighting deportation despite being convicted of rape. And they'll say, "Oh, I'll face persecution back in Pakistan." So they keep them there.
So what?
Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a. Yeah, it's fucking wild how we got to this place. Like, who gives a shit? You should have thought of that before you came over and raped somebody. It's not. I don't know how we got.
That's why there's laws. That's where there's criminals. That's where some people end up in jail. Listen, Brad. There's consequences to your actions.
Yeah.
Do I get to kill people? You know, there's a guy a couple of days ago. I'm coming back home from the gym. We live in a residential area. There's kids that play. The guy was on his cell phone. He's hauling a big trailer. He's probably doing some pavement work or landscaping, something along those lines. I'm in my truck. I see him. I've driven like more than 20,000 miles over the past 3 years, driving a monster of 11,000 pound trailer behind me. So I'm seeing him, right? I'm like, oh, there you go. The guy's just going to cut me off. And of course he does exactly that. But I can see that he's like this as he's cutting me off. I can see him and I'm looking at him in his mirrors. So I know he's looking at his phone. So he cuts me and I'm like, I just look at him in my mirror like, bro, what the fuck? I parked the truck and it's a cul-de-sac where I live. So he turns around, right? So he has to face me and I'm staring. I'm waiting next to my truck and I'm just looking at him. And he lowers his window and he's just like, hey, oh, sorry, man. It happens sometimes. I'm like, yeah, if that was a kid, you fucking idiot. And I'm not being nice with him. I'm just like, there's kids everywhere where you were parked. There's kids that live right there. What would have happened if that was a kid? One time, bro. One time. There needs to be consequences for your action. And you're lucky. Step out of your car. I'll teach you consequences. But the point is that it's not how it works. You don't get to make mistakes like those that could potentially kill somebody.
Yeah.
And have no same thing. Oh, yeah, but if I go back home. Yeah, but guess what, bro? That was your actions. I didn't make you not pay attention. I didn't make you rape people. You did. And guess what happens? Consequences.
Once you commit that action, you've lost any right to say, oh, but this, Frank, we don't care is the way we should be. But the fact that there are judges, almost certainly far left activist judges, who are accepting that as an argument is it's a real problem. And I really don't understand that worldview. Who gives a shit? One of the sort of grotesque or morally repugnant aspects of far left thinking is the way they fetishize the criminals and demonize the victims, right? Well, as long as they're the right kind of victim, i.e., you know, like a straight white Christian or something. Nobody gives a shit what happens to them if you're on the far left. But it's I don't again, and as a liberal, like I'm aware of the sort of irony of me saying this, but this is why I have such big issues with the left today. This is a big part of it. This sort of almost, nihilistic worldview that has permeated the West, the left. Sorry, guys.
All I'm gonna say before you
go ahead.
You go is, that right now in Canada, something like 50,000 people on student visa did not show up to class. Like,
and that's a problem too.
Of them in 2024 did not show up to class. What the fuck? And those are the numbers that we know. Those are the numbers that you can Google.
Well, yeah, and it's clearly clear what's happened, right? They've used the student visa as a way to backdoor in immigration because they know we're not going to go after them. They know, and I'm sure some of them are using this as a way to get into the States, and this is why the Americans are partly why they have some issues with security as it relates to our policies. And it's hard to disagree with them. If we're allowing pretty much anybody, and I suspect we don't vet our student visas too well,
No.
I don't think we do any type of vetting, frankly. But yeah, because all it takes is whatever documents you need to get your student visa, I bet is super easy. And then you come in, you don't go to class, and you just go and do whatever you want to do because you've already got a built-in culture or society, because we don't in any way encourage assimilation or integration to society, because that's racist. And so we've allowed, societies within society to flourish. So, people from the homeland or the motherland, they come over here. They know they don't need to be legal. They can just live under the radar, live under the table, live with their families in their cities that have basically become enclaves, whatever that fucking word is. And all of this is a huge issue, and it's directly related to far left ideologies permeating immigration policy. Guys,
it comes down to sanctuary cities.
Well,
Montreal is a sanctuary city, meaning that they will not enforce immigration laws. Toronto is an immigration city. So I'm Googling them as we go. Montreal is one. Toronto
I feel like
is
Canada
one.
is just an
is Vancouver a sanctuary city? And Vancouver is a sanctuary city. So our three biggest fucking cities in Canada that are university cities are sanctuary cities. So they will not cooperate with the federal government. Okay, hold on. Imagine that there was a federal government that cared. They wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah, that's why I feel like the whole country is a sanctuary city in a way, right? Because nobody gives a shit. Even if the cities wanted to cooperate, the government would probably be like, no, we can't do that. Let's see here. Sasquatch says, Rob, that's how I see Tulsi Gabbard when she was a Democrat running as president. First time I heard a Democrat talk, and I really could not disagree with her. I would have voted for her. She probably considers herself on some level still a liberal, probably just a common sense liberal. Probably how I feel. I didn't leave the left left me. That's a common thought process among a lot of common sense liberals. And for her, just makes more sense for her to be conservative in a Donald Trump administration where she can get more done. But I doubt that like her core values have changed much.
She probably still thinks, just like RFK, that she'd make a better president.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm pretty sure you asked her honestly behind closed door, do you think she'd do a better job than Trump? Yes. I don't think there'd be any hesitation to that answer.
Absolutely. Oh, Leah, that's a great point. I didn't even think of that. Just think of how many Canadians didn't get into college or university because of 50,000 fake students, because it's quotas. That's how it works. There's only so many people they can accept. And so every single fake acceptance that they gave out is another acceptance that most likely a Canadian student didn't get. It turned into a rejection. So that, I hadn't thought of that angle, but that's another point. Not that we needed it to be against this policy, but there's one more reason to throw onto the pile.
Just giving me more reason to be pissed off. Thanks a lot, Lee. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit. Actually, Cheryl made a good point. Ottawa looks like it is a sanctuary city.
I don't be surprised if it wasn't. I suspect
when I look at it,
Is it
Actually, no. Surprise! No, but
Wow.
what it says here, quick Google. It's not like I actually did a lot of research. I knew about Montreal. I know Toronto. I knew Vancouver. But when it comes to Ottawa, it says that while there's been discussions and proposals about Ottawa becoming a sanctuary city, Ricochet Media, which sounds very believable, and other sources indicate that Ottawa has not officially been designated as one. So basically, it is one. Okay. Hey, Ricochet Media. It's like, as per CBC,
Yes,
Ottawa
of
is not.
course.
Yeah, okay.
Of course,
Circle story, bro.
This is an interesting comment, wise guy. I was a founding member of the PPC. I was Niagara area president. I was drummed out for talking about immigration or Islam. Forgive me if I don't trust them. When was this, wise guy? Because that's an interesting story. And I feel like, you know, the Overton window had definitely shifted. Perhaps even a couple years ago, even the PPC was reluctant to talk about immigration, but I think that's starting to change. You know, as you can see, Jivani, he cleared, like, what he was saying out there, you would not hear even a conservative politician say that 5 years ago.
But that the PPC is talking about Maxime Bernier, right?
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about everybody was probably shifted to the left on immigration, even the PPC.
Oh, yeah, I get you.
Just the Overton window for everybody. Because right now, I'd be surprised if he got drummed out, considering, like, we had Maxime Bernier here on the show a couple months back, and he was very clear. He wants a pause on immigration for, you know, essentially, as Donald Trump would say, until we can figure out what the hell is going on. And that, you know, I wouldn't say I would push for that policy, but I wouldn't oppose it either. I see the value in it. And I even clarified, I don't know if you remember, but I clarified, I was like, just to be clear, you will sort of mean it temporarily, like long-term, you do see yourself opening the borders back up to, you know, like to a reasonable, common sense immigration policy. And he was very clear. Yes, of course. He's not anti-immigration. He just is for responsible
vetted immigration.
Vetted immigration. That's a good way to put it.
You like
it. And
this is where the video
would anybody be? Yeah, exactly. Right. Mic drop. And why would anyone be against that? What, like, it's like they expect us to, like, willfully accept immigration policies that are bad for the country because it's good for the illegal immigrants. It doesn't make any sense. Immigration is not charity. I do believe that immigration has value, but we should be doing it in a way that it also has to be a benefit, a net benefit to our country, because if it wasn't, why the fuck would we do it? Guys, if you are listening to us for the first time, welcome. Hopefully you stick around, throw a comment in the comment box. As you can see, this show is built around audience participation. If you want to support us, you can like or share the stream if you're on X. If you're on YouTube, and that is where the action is, if you're on X, I highly suggest. You can see all the comments here on the bottom right. If you're, you know, there's a lot of comments we just don't have the time to get to them all. But if you're on YouTube, you can engage in that. A lot of the conversations really have nothing to do with me or Nico. It's between the audience. So you're really
smart people are talking.
Yeah. Exactly, right. We're just we're the white noise machines. The actions happen in the comments. But yeah, so you're missing out on a lot if you're not over on YouTube. If you haven't figured out the basic format of the show, I am a liberal, a common sense liberal. There is a few of us still. Nico is a common sense conservative, and we discuss the issues of the day through that perspective. Despite those labels, we don't really stick too hard with labels. We just come at every issue with a common sense perspective. We find common ground where we can, and we disagree respectfully where we don't. And that is what this show is built on. If you think there's value in that, especially in this really toxic environment these days where political discourse is all about screaming and yelling and calling names to the other side, if you're sick of that, then this might be the place for you. If you want to be part of this community, please, we go live noon Eastern time every day, and you can comment there. You can also join as a member, $2.99 a month. That is our coffee scheme, and that will give you access to the Discord server where we continue this conversation 24/7. And it isn't just about conversation, as Nico said earlier. It's about community. That's one of the main things we tried to do with this show. We don't want to just make a podcast. We want to have a community where like-minded people can get together and have exactly these sorts of discussions. So if you are new, please think about that and think about joining that. And even if you don't want to, that's cool too. Just stick around. Throw some comments in the comment box. We'll get to it. And
super chats. We do take super chats.
Yes, we can be bribed. That is the other thing too.
We can be bribed.
Misfit says, Robbie, you're making a hard case for me to believe you're a liberal. I get it all the time. Don't worry. And like I said, not sure the label really fits, especially the state of the current left. You know, on some of the issues we don't talk about too much, like abortion, like guns. Although I'm not against.
You're a conservative in Canada. You're considered a conservative.
Probably, yeah.
But let's be honest, we don't have, our conservatives are not right-winged in Canada. They're left-leaning in Canada. So you would be a Canadian conservative. Like you'd be a conservative with a big C. And technically you voted for them. So you are a conservative with a big C, but in Canada.
Yeah. And I do, you know, I go pretty hard against the left, but that's because, you know, it's like anyone who leaves a cult is often the biggest advocate against that cult, right? That's how I see things. Like I said, you know, on lots of other issues that we don't talk about here too much, I would still be pretty firmly on the left of center side, although I'm a moderate in just about every issue. But yeah, in some ways it's sort of an existential crisis. I don't really know. I don't really know exactly where I fit, but that's why this
I love it.
This environment is exactly, if I wasn't hosting this show, I would be here part of the community as well, because this is pretty much the only community, the only show that I see out there. And I'm sure there are some, but I'm not aware of them that really would fit exactly kind of how I see myself. I just want to be able to have discussions and debates and conversations with like-minded people who aren't going to call me a Nazi or a racist or a bigot because I don't believe that men can have men can give birth.
Can men have penises?
Yeah, men cannot have penises. Leah says, I was liberal all my life, then I woke up about a year ago. So yeah, I'm pretty hard on the current liberal establishment. Same as me. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago for me. And for me, the big issue with the trans thing first. But one thing that's kind of interesting is once you sort of have your eyes opened on one issue, you often will find other ones where you're like, you know what? I don't really agree with that either. You know, certainly things like on COVID, I certainly am very critical of the response, primarily the way the left behaved. But yeah, that's sort of where, I mean, everything's in flux, right? Everything is dynamic, and if you ever close your mind and say this is what I am and refuse to open it, you know, you stop growing, you stop learning. I don't ever want to be like that. Leah, I now identify as conservative. Like again, I still don't, even if some of my positions might seem like it is, and maybe that will happen someday.
But it's a conservative with a big C, though. It's not a conservative
big C, yeah. You know, and you know, I've got a fairly large X following, and I built that talking about gender, and so I talk to a lot of people like me and like you a lot all the time, and it does seem they go one of two ways. One is the route that I went, where we still identify as a liberal, but kind of are just disgusted with the left and are among the biggest critics of it. And then there's other ones who, like you, just identify as conservative now. It makes more sense for them. And like I said, I'm constantly in flux. I'm still in movement. I'm still in motion with where I am politically. So yeah, I mean, that movement is happening as I'm hosting this show. So you guys are kind of at a front row seat for that.
Tony G saying, good show, clients calling, better do what they pay me for. Have a good weekend, everyone, and keep the blinders off.
Well, yeah, have a great weekend, Tony. We'll see you on Monday.
Now, I think we've beat that one. We've beat that horse.
Yeah,
that horse has been beaten.
To death.
We will move on to.
I just want to thank Wise Guys because he was just continuing what he was talking about the PPC.
Okay, go for it. Yep.
He said, I was their first president of the Niagara District membership. Right when Max started the party, I was president, duly elected by the other members, and they made me resign over my stance on immigration. And he continues, that was about 8 years ago. So yeah, I don't pretend to be any, you know, big expert.
8 years ago, 2017. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly the difference between then and now on PPC internal policy, but just based on what Max was saying, I would be surprised if you were still, you know, treated like that because of those opinions. But you never know.
But at the same time, It's a political party. Everybody has an agenda. That's why I
sure.
dread politicians.
For sure, for sure. How many people are sitting there thinking like, okay, I don't really care about the policies, but here's a new party where I can put my stamp on, because they know they're not going to be able to put a stamp on the Liberal or Conservative Party because that's pretty much baked in, right? So there's probably a lot of that anytime a new party comes up. So you got to be wary of that for sure.
Therese is asking, why do we have a label? Oh,
and that's
label.
exactly
I was,
a label ourselves. Con or lib, and that's exactly it, right? And that's why we still use them even on this show because there's some value. However, they're
easy to explain. Where you come from.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, we will also almost immediately after say something like, but they don't always necessarily fit, and they really don't necessarily fit here on this show specifically. So I think not having the label is probably the healthiest way to be. And again, that is why that's one of the great things about this show. Yeah. Political Orphan is a great label. I love that label.
Next, this is an interesting one because we've been talking about this, at least I've been talking about this since last week, since a new research or a new article by the BBC actually mentioned that 1 out of 20 Canadians are now unliving themselves using MAID, our government-funded euthanasia program. That sounds bad, but that's basically what it is. Right? Let's call it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. So here is both Nick and Cheryl posted this in the Discord server. It is former MP for Peterborough, Kawartha, Michelle Ferrari, and she talks about the truth of MAID and mostly the acceptance of MAID, as in what people believe MAID is compared to what it is. And she just lost the election, as you were talking. I just researched her a bit more, and she just lost her election. She's a conservative, obviously. If she's talking against MAID, I agree, man. I agree. So reach out. I actually reached out to a guy that I know that ran for the Conservative Party near Toronto. If he could put me in touch with Jivani, I would like to have him on the show too.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I'm doing this as we're working. This is how many things happen behind the scene. So let's listen to what was her name again? I apologize. Michelle Ferrari out of Peterborough.
Hey everyone, Michelle Ferrari here. And this is a pretty important video. We have a crossroads in society where we've stopped listening to learn, and we are listening to react. And the reason I do this video, the point of this video, is just because you don't believe something or you don't like something doesn't make it misinformation. And that word is thrown around on the internet like crazy right now. And the reason I do this video is because yesterday I reshared a speech I did in the House of Commons when I was a member of Parliament about the proposed legislation by the Liberals to extend MAID, medical assistance in dying, to people with mental illness. And the pushback online is the same pushback I've seen since the day that I was elected of, you're a liar, this isn't true, you're rage farming, and this is what happens. And that's why we can't move forward as a society, because we fail to recognize something as truth just because we don't like it or it's uncomfortable. This isn't something I'm making up. You can simply Google medical assistance in dying, mental illness, and you will see both the Dying with Dignity group, which is a lobbyist that is pushing for this legislation. And if you don't know what a lobbyist is, this is important to understand, because this is how a lot of policy is made. Lobbyist groups with money get in front of parliamentarians and people who make the laws to change the laws to fit what they think is important for the country. And Dying with Dignity is a lobbyist group that believes that medical assistance in dying should be extended to people with mental illness, as well as looking at extending it to people with minors. Just Google it. On the Justice website, the Conservatives were effective in pushing this legislation to March of 2027. It was supposed to come into effect in March of 2024. But after a special committee was created where we had multiple witnesses testify, many of whom doctors who said you cannot scientifically prove that it is impossible to recover from a mental illness, therefore it is not a responsible decision by government to offer MAID as a solution to mental illness. It was pushed off until March of 2027. But that doesn't mean it's not still on the table. It's still on the Justice website. That's still what's happening. And the point of this video, again, I can't stress this enough. Just because you don't believe something or you don't like it doesn't make it misinformation. I was the recipient of this and targeted greatly online when I spoke openly about parents who human traffic their children. This isn't something I made up. These are the people who work in this world told me it is. You can again Google it. These are not fun things to talk about. They are horrible things about humanity. Nobody wants to deal with it. And so there's this knee-jerk reaction of you're a liar, you have some hidden agenda. And we can't move forward together as a society if we do not acknowledge that these things are happening. There is this aversion of the truth. You know, that's why everybody calls, anyway, I'm not going to go off into, I could go on and on about all these other areas that are considered conspiracy theories because people don't like it and they don't want to believe it. But that's not how you move forward. You know, one guy was like, nobody's going to offer MAID to your minor. You're a bunch of effing idiots. Watch committee.
Mature minors, they call them.
You know, people don't know what they don't know. There's so much information online. Parliament it's buried. Who wants to sit and watch 4 hours of committee? Pretty much nobody. It's there. This is the reality. And so then people say this isn't happening because they can't fathom that these things are happening. But again, I just can't stress this to you enough. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it is misinformation. It's funny, but it's not funny. You know, Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. And people don't want to know bad things. I don't blame them. It's not fun to think about. It's not fun. But you have to have these discussions. And the last thing I'll say on this is another very important part. Why are we investing in spending the money on MAID for mental illness and not the science and research to understand and treat mental illness? Have you been into a hospital lately? Have you seen, you know, the wait times to see a doctor, a psychiatrist? And if you are even lucky to get to see a doctor, they prescribe you pills. They don't understand why. They don't understand the science because we don't even have that technology. Why are we not investing in this? Why isn't this a priority if you have this many people suffering? That should be the conversation, not, you know what? This will save us a lot of money. Here's MAID.
And you know what? She's bang on. And the worst part is that she doesn't give those numbers, but I researched it this week as I was posting about this. It takes 3 months to be accepted in MAID, and it takes 4 to 8 months, depending where you are located in Canada, to see a psychiatrist/psychologist. Just saying.
That's crazy, right? Like that's wild, man. Like I thought she was very well spoken. As Sasquatch
I like her.
here says,
I
I
really
can't
like
believe
her.
she lost the election. I always thought highly of her, but Canadians may not like her. What was her writing?
Peterborough.
Okay.
Check it out. I always have the.
Yeah, is it traditionally liberal or because I can't
She
imagine.
she was conservative. She won. She was she was the one that was in power.
She lost re-election, so she's
the former
wow.
MP. She got elected in 2021 as a conservative MP.
I don't know why she's well spoken.
I had it there, Halliburton. So, and it's funny because if you look at this here, see, let me share my screen because I'm always looking at this thing here, right? We've seen it many times, and it's interesting because it's right here. So that's Alberton and Kawarta.
Okay.
This is the writing. So she is somewhere in between this and this right here. So here's Peterborough. I've been there many times, old customers, but hey. So
and if you click
see,
on that, yeah,
Michelle
and
Ferrari.
wasn't even that close, 54-41. Yeah, that's that fucking you know, that elbows up fucking brainwashing campaign must have worked there, because I don't know. I was watching her, same as when I saw Jivani. I was like, regardless of the specific issues, even though I do agree with them, that just sounds like the kind of person you want representing you in Parliament. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But I actually just dropped her a message on her X, see if she want to come on the show. I think she'd be a great guest.
And I dropped a message on her Instagram.
Yes, I'm actually gonna hit Jamel Jivani next, because you know the best is for us to send as many. Maybe we'll just be so annoying, like, all right, for fuck's sakes, I'll come on the show. Jesus.
Yeah, she was on the show. Like, hold on, let me just share my screen. I'll just share you her Instagram. You'll understand that she is very much aligned with me, and you're gonna laugh.
Okay.
How many times have we talked about Mario?
Oh yes, this guy.
She literally reposted the video we were showing earlier.
Yeah, I'm watching her X, and she reposted that there too, and she's
Trump announces the Golden Dome program. Canada will be involved. We were talking about it yesterday. She obviously speaks against. So it looks like we're very much alike, and she is with one of the two guys from what's their name? Hold on, let me see. Jivani, it's Jonathan Harvey. I've had a podcast with him before. But yeah, he Blender News.
That's right.
So just a quick look at her Instagram. I'm like, yup.
Oh yeah,
I believe that she would fit right in.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be great if we could get her. Leah says, I'm a registered RN. I worked in the operating room for 15 years. My POV on MAID is not at all what's advertised today. Yeah, I'd be interested to see, as Wise Guy is asking for clarification. I'd also be interested to hear specifically what you mean. I think I know what you mean, but I'm curious to see specifically why.
I see the use. I can be convinced, having a stepfather that lived through 5 years of radiation and chemotherapy basically on the whole time through, that did not want to commit suicide because he did not want my mother to lose. No, it's because he didn't want my mom to lose his pension. He didn't want her to lose his military pension and his insurance, because if you commit suicide, there's loopholes that they can get away of. So he suffered for 5 years just so my mom would be set, so she wouldn't lose what he worked for. So, you know, that's prior to MAID. Like, MAID was not offered, but I know for a fact that he would have taken it. Yeah, so, you know, it's one, your mic's not working, man. So it's one of those situations where I can be convinced that it has a use, but it is not what we're trying to sell today. Like, I'd be very curious to hear what you have to say about this, Lee. No, your microphone's back on. It's really one of those things that I can see why people would want it, but goddamn, it's a dangerous thing to have in place.
Oh, absolutely. Can you? That's still.
Your microphone is it's too.
Hang on, I'm just gonna mute myself.
The microphone. Yeah, I'll introduce the next subject no matter what. So, I'm just looking at if you guys have some comments on this, make sure to drop them in the comments box. If you guys are on X, join us on the YouTube channel. You can see just right here. There's like the conversation that's going on the YouTube channel. So if you want to get the full experience, join us on the YouTube channel. Leave X, go to YouTube, find us at the Poli Orphans. It's written right there at the bottom of the screen. So join us on the YouTube channel. Enjoy the conversation. Talk to other intelligent, critical thinkers out there. One thing I wanted to talk about today is I've talked about it a bit over the past week or so. It's something that the Wise Guy from, I believe it was either Wise Guy or Misfit from the Discord server that brought this to my attention, but there's been an interesting story out of BC regarding 400 ostriches that were exposed to the avian flu 5 months ago, back in December. Their flock got, let's call it infected. They got infected. They caught the avian, and they survived. Outside of 2 ostriches that ended up dying, all of them survived. So about 400, 2 died, 400 were okay. And for some reason, the federal government now wants to call them, which means they want to slaughter them, for lack of a better term. They want to unalive those birds because they still might be affected by the avian flu. But it's the thing that's interesting, and I got a good video for this. The thing that I find very interesting about this is the farmer claims that they have developed herd immunity, meaning that they would now be immune against the current avian flu virus. Yet the government wants to get rid of them when they should be investigating them as to how the fuck did they become immune. So here's a video from CBC that talks about what's going on. They also show some of the protesters that have been there that are trying to protect those birds. So check this out.
The remote community of Edgewood, BC finds itself of a dispute. Demonstrators began gathering this weekend at Universal Ostrich Farm to protest the order to cull a flock of nearly 400 ostriches. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the cull because 2 dead birds tested positive for the avian flu in December. This all comes after the farm lost a court case last week seeking to overturn the order. Radio-Canada reporter Camille Vernet is at the farm. Camille, what is happening on the ground right now?
So it's really quiet right now. You can see right behind me the ostriches everybody's been talking about. And right next to them, on the other side, here you see RVs, tents. People have set up camps. They came from Calgary, BC, Ontario, and they're here to show their support to the farmers. And they say they are here to stay. Some have been here actually for a month. And earlier today, the RCMP showed up. They were here to talk to people, and emotion went quite high.
And you've got to decide now, where is your line?
People stayed peaceful. And I spoke to Katie Passitney. She's the owner's daughter. And what she really wants is to protect the ostriches and also to have them retested, because they are very attached to their animals, and they disagree with the Canadian Federal Food Inspection Agency. And they're saying that killing the birds is not the way, is not the solution to the spread of the avian flu.
We're very disappointed that we, again, are just being met with resistance and can't work together, because this isn't just about our farm, it's about the future of farming across Canada.
Camille, it's an emotional situation for the family, but from a public health perspective, what are the potential risks of keeping these birds alive?
So the family says the herd has immunity because they've survived the avian flu, so that they are not a risk and that they are healthy. But the Canadian Food Inspection Agency says that the virus could actually linger in the ostriches, and that could lead to mutation and then spread the virus. And also, this is an open pasture, so there is wildlife that could be exposed. They say they're still gonna come and do their job, so call the ostriches and do this in a humanely way, but they might face protesters.
So basically, we have 400 birds that have developed herd immunity, as per what the farmer's saying. And now the government, the federal government, wants to use the RCMP to get rid of those birds. So basically, we have herd immunity that was obtained naturally by being exposed to a virus, which it's interesting how it works, huh? Because that's how it's supposed to work. Our body is meant to be able to fight viruses. This happened. These birds seem to be immune to the avian flu, yet the government wants to get rid of them. Tell me there's not something fishy here, because this makes zero sense to me. I fully understand why they're doing it, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate. Like, I don't have a little tinfoil hat here for no reason, because clearly I'm a conspiracy theorist. Clearly, at least I'm considered one. But you know what they say? What's the difference between a conspiracy theorist and what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality? About 6 months. So the point of the matter is that we have birds that have survived avian flu, that seem to have developed immunity, and the government still wants to get rid of them. Can you think? Let's say that you're not a conspiracy theorist. You believe that the whoop whoop have a use, that they're good. Okay, awesome. Can you tell me? Can you give me one single reason as to why those birds should be slaughtered? Why we should get rid of those birds? I'm curious. I'm really curious, because I cannot think of one. All I can think of is, considering what the farmer is saying, let's do the research. Let's take those birds, let's investigate, let's test them to see if they did indeed develop herd immunity. Because if they did, shouldn't we be interested in finding out how that happened? How can we make sure that other birds get immunity? Because I remember when I was a kid, we had chicken pox parties. A kid on the street would get chicken pox. Families would send their kids there in order to make sure that they get infected, so that they don't get shingles, for example, when they're older. So this is something that we knew. Our body is meant to fight viruses. Are you going to be sick? Sure. You're going to be sick for a few days. No questions about it. It will have an effect on you, but this is how it's supposed to work. Our immune system will do its job if you are healthy. And if you are healthy, that's the way to do it. This is how you develop immunity. And it wasn't just about chicken pox. It was the same thing with measles prior to my time, but I know older people that had told me that they had measles parties. It's the same thing. We are the government is selling us that idea. We are accepting that idea, but we're being told, and we all know that Big Pharma has a reason for doing this. But the point of the matter is that we've become so scared of getting sick that we're not even ready to get temporarily sick in order to develop immunity. We would rather get a whoop whoop that is completely synthetic, that is not how your body was meant to develop immunity. There's a good reason why you need to get more whoop whoop after you got the first whoop whoop. So what, as a common sense person, can you tell me the reason why the federal government would want to get rid of those birds instead of investigate, instead of trying to figure out how did they get that immunity? Can any one of you tell me why? Why is the government doing this? So let's see what you guys think. We got a bunch of messages here, and since Rob is not there, we'll take more of your comments. So let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, you know what, Misfit? Misfit is saying they pose a threat to Big Pharma. Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken fucking dinner. This is exactly what I believe as well, because if it's something that's natural, you can't profit off of it. Right? Lee is saying, did you know that ostriches have the best immune system in all the avian world? With ostriches, you can separate and call the sick one. The survivors have immunity. Yes, I have heard that, but I don't think that the average individual has. So good point. Thank you for mentioning it, because you're absolutely right. This is exactly what I was seeing as well. That's what all the articles and the studies that I've seen were all saying that. So thank you for sharing it. And not only that, like I would add to that, like imagine not only did it seems, and again, we're just assuming that the farmer's right. I'll take his word that they have developed immunity, and it would make sense. Only 2 of them ended up passing away out of 400. So clearly something magical happened. Magical, I'm being sarcastic, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is, shouldn't we be not only trying to research them as to how did they develop immunity, how can we make sure that us as human we develop it, how can we make sure that other birds develop it? But if we are to consume animals, when we want to eat animals that have natural immunity, that are not filled with whoop whoop, because this is where it's going to go eventually, right? Because I'm not sure if it was in this video or it's another one that I watched, but the daughter of the owner of the farm was saying that this is for science and this is going to start playing a big role in avian farmers. Because if they start doing that, this is just the first one, but how many are they going to do that again? Every single time there's avian flu somewhere in chickens, somewhere in ostriches, somewhere where birds are involved, does that mean that every single bird that has been exposed to it is going to need to be slaughtered? Because this is what we're saying right now. This is what it looks like to me. This looks like a very dangerous precedent. That's why I don't like it. I don't understand why we're doing this. I don't understand why we're not no. We all know why we're doing it. I just cannot say it here. But we all know why they're doing this. But I still want to know what you guys think. I still want to know if you guys can think of one single reason why we should get rid of those birds. Therese is saying, oh yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect.
Therese is saying that she is a registered death doula. My point of view is also not at all what is being advertised today. Oh,
I saw that too.
We could have some very interesting conversations. Obviously, Lee agree. Wise guy, thank you, Nico. You know what, bro? I'm happy. He reminded me this morning. He's like, "Hey, did you guys talk about this yesterday?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I did not." And I did
this is Wise Guy's bread and butter issue, eh?
Yep.
Wise Guy, actually, I'm kind of curious. What is it? Is there a specific reason, or like, are you an ostrich farmer, or know people who are, or is it just that it just strikes at something?
I had an hour conversation on the phone with Wise Guy a couple of days ago.
Oh, really? Cool.
So a lot of things that I can tell you that he is like me. So he sees what's going on behind the scene with those ostriches. I can answer for him on that one. Feel free to answer in the comment. Obviously, I'm not you. You're not me. But because of this right there, zing 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 zing. I think he has a permanent. I think he has a permanent one, just like me. Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Nick is saying they won't retest and won't allow the owner to organize testing. I know. Just right then and there is like, why are you trying to get rid of this? Why are you silencing this? What is going on? As in, I know exactly what's going on, but they should question the government even more. Like, I would sue the government if I was them. I would try to start a GoFundMe and then an OF account, whatever it takes, in order to build some money. I'd be curious, are there not lawyers out there that would do pro bono stuff? Because just before you showed up, before you showed up, I was saying that because one of the videos that I saw this morning was the daughter of the owner is saying that this could affect farming from now on. As in, she was trying to say that if this becomes normal, you're setting a very dangerous precedent right now to say that if avian flu is ever detected in anything, if in other bird farming, chicken, ostriches, whatever else, turkey, does that mean we need to remove them all? And obviously they're not getting repaid for this shit. So like,
they have to pay for the for the destruction too.
But that's my point, right?
Mm.
So what the fuck is going on? Because we said this before, but wouldn't you want an animal to develop natural immunity just like you and I, and then consume? I pay extra money for my shit to be bio because I don't want all the crap that they put into animals. Wouldn't you want an animal that developed natural immunity instead of being filled with whoop whoop?
Mm-hmm.
I would. I know I would.
100%.
Lee saying, thank God I wasn't cold for having avian flu back in 2009. Well, you shouldn't say it. Now you've said it. It's out there. They might knock at your door and say, hey, we don't have time to retest, but your time has come. Join the ostriches.
Yeah. And it's just, even just from a pure fairness perspective, they're making these farmers pay to kill their own livelihood, right? Like they have to kill these birds, and I don't know what ostriches cost, but I suspect they're probably not super cheap. Like this is people's
a few $1,000s a head. I think I'm pretty sure, and wise guy correct me, but I think it was $2 to $5 grand a pop.
Yeah, these are people's livelihoods. You can't just. I think people,
and they like them. In the video, she actually says we like them, and I would agree. I like animals. I will have a dog farm one day. I'll just take people's dogs that they don't want, and I'll carry them because obviously they're not going to do anything outside of eat and shit everywhere.
Yep.
But I wouldn't want the government to come up and say, "Oh, we need to get rid of them."
No, of course not.
We'd have a problem. I'm telling you that I would not be politically correct the way they are. I can guarantee you that. But of course, you get attached to those animals. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that you get attached to animals, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The reason why I was vegan for so fucking long.
Wise guy, we appreciate that, sir. And he says it is because it's a fabricated virus being used as a pretext to take control of our food supply. It's good. Sounds good to me.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good enough reason to me.
And you know what? For YouTube purposes, wise guy is completely wrong. And I do not agree with, and I do not agree with him at all. At all, okay? I don't agree. He's wrong for YouTube purposes.
That's funny. What?
Oh, that is awesome. I love this comment. Stop eating ostriches, Canada. It's weird. Okay, JD Vance.
We got Leah says it's the best beef you ever had. I've never had ostrich, but I must say I'm intrigued now.
Have you ever been next to an ostrich?
They're huge. I've never been next to one, but I've seen them like at zoos from a little bit of a distance, but yeah.
Oh, bro. I had a customer that is a zoo around Montreal. I can't say who. And we met some of the guys on the zoo premise, and their office were right next to where they keep the ostriches. Those things had to be like 8 or 9 feet tall. Like when they stand straight with the neck.
Oh, fuck
and they're fucking massive. Like, I'm a big guy, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, God damn.
I think they're mean too. They don't fuck around. They'll kick
you. No. They were staring, and they were a bunch. There must have been like at least like 10 to 20. And they're just at the fence, and they're just like staring at you, like me in my little preppy suit. Like, I ain't fucking fighting anybody in my suit. My little preppy shoes. Like, I can. Like,
you ever see the video of the guy whose dog was getting attacked by a kangaroo, and he ran over, he squared up with him, and the kangaroo were just fucking going blow for blow.
But you know what's dangerous about kangaroos is not their punches, is the nails. And you don't know, those things aren't clean either.
Well, they'll do that thing where they bounce on their tail and kick their feet out, and they'll.
They're strong.
Yep.
And I don't know a lot of guys that will sweep the kick like we do in Muay Thai, right? Most people are not going to see a front kick, hands up, sweep the kick, and then and then counter.
Kick.
Yeah. Oh, I probably would think about it because this is a practice we've done for 20 years, right? Hands up and you sweep, but this is not something most people would do. They just catch a kick right in the face with those infected nails, and it wouldn't go too well for them.
Terry says, the ones calling for this need to go do it themselves with bare hands because guns are bad and we can't use a needle to draw blood for research. Kind of reminds me of that scene in what is it? Game of Thrones, where I think it's at the very beginning when he's the king of the north or whatever is about to kill someone, one of his men who deserted for cowardice, and he said a leader must always do it himself because then you at least know what you're doing, right? Rather than just sit home in your castle and give orders for have people killed, kind of the same thing. And I agree with that, just as a philosophical point. That's how it should be.
I have never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, I couldn't finish it. It's so long and it's so dense, but I really liked what I probably got 2 or 3 seasons into it. It got, and then it did the thing where almost any show, once you get into 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, it just falls off. The only show I can think of offhand that was really good into like 6 and 7 seasons was Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad is by far my favorite show of all time.
Through, and they ended it at the exact perfect spot.
But my stepfather was going through, when at the beginning he's going through cancer treatment and he's alone, he's not telling anybody.
Yep.
My stepdad was going through that. And because of that show, my sister, myself, and my mom promised ourselves that he would never have to do that. So it's for me, I'm going to start crying. It's emotional. Wow. As we're going through this, I'm watching Breaking Bad. The guy's going through it, and I'm like, "Yep, I feel." So it's right in my heart.
Yeah.
Plus, they talk about drugs, which I sold when I was younger. They talk about that criminal world, which I was part of for years. So, I'm gonna start crying. God damn it!
It's a little bitch. Just crying.
Yeah. Misfit is saying shit. Hold on. Hey,
sorry.
He deserves to be heard. Misfit is saying shit. My parent had all the neighborhood kids over when I had chicken pox. It was literally 50 kids. That's what it used to be. Because I was saying how we used to have measles parties. We used to have chicken pox parties. So,
yeah, I mean, herd immunity is a thing, right? I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, wise guy.
Leah says, I also keep chickens illegally in my city. What Leah doesn't know is this entire show was a sting set up just to trap her specifically.
It's not a scheme, it's our scheme.
Yeah, it's a scheme. It was a government undercover operation. And Leah, you've just outed yourself. Expect a knock on the door by the afternoon.
Yeah. So 2009. So they're going to come up to you for, what it's going to be, Leah? You're going to be, have you ever seen the movie District 9?
Oh yeah.
So when the guy gets a face shot of that black shit, and then they're like, "Oh, he slept with an alien," and that's how they try to catch it. This is what's going to happen to you, Leah.
Yeah,
they're going to say that because you probably have immunity to avian flu that you've developed in 2009. They're going to catch you and say that the only reason you developed it's because you had sex with chickens. So be careful. You shouldn't have said anything. Just saying.
No. Incriminate.
You're going to get District 9'd. What a bullshit fucking part of the movie that is, huh?
Well,
that AI thing, you see the dude kind of doggy styling one of those aliens. You're like,
oh yeah, and they ate them too. It was a cool movie. I really liked that movie. I thought it was.
I just rewatched it.
Oh, did you?
Long ago. That's why it's in my mind. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie. Misfit. Peaky Blinders is my favorite show. Did you ever watch that?
I know what it is. I haven't watched. All I can say is this.
Oh, they already got it.
I would probably fit.
I like the caps. I remember
this is a buddy of mine that actually makes them.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen my t-shirt? Bonjour, y'all.
Yeah, I did see
It's
that.
the same guy. So the Bonjour, y'all. He's a guy from Alabama, so they use y'all all over the fucking place.
Okay.
And Bonjour, obviously, he never heard the word Bonjour until he met me. But he's like, "Oh shit, I saw that on the he saw that on the podcast, so he bought it to me." But this is my cigar hat. Like I sit outside when it's nice. It's all but he custom makes them. They're made by hand.
Yeah.
Well, dude.
Misfit says, "Shut up, Rob. You may be smart, but I don't think you're that smart." Yeah, you're on the list next, Misfit. You can expect a knock on the door at 6 a.m. We'll plant some of those ostriches, some of those sick ostriches in your basement, and they'll take you away for harboring fugitive ostriches.
But the thing is, Misfit
can't get away from us. The deep state, we're coming after everything.
What you don't understand, Misfit, is that the real threat is not Rob, it's me. I'm passing as a conservative, showing you what liberals are.
You're actually a woke far left activist masquerading.
Oh, you don't know, bro. You just don't understand. I'm the trap.
Yeah. exactly.
Okay, we need to stop for the people that finds us. They're gonna think we're true. We're actually. This is sarcastic. You know that sometimes, like people I don't know that don't get my sarcasm, I tell them I'm gonna start doing this. Every time I'm being sarcastic, I'm just gonna flick my fingers so you know. Because Americans, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe Sasquatch can explain, but goddamn, Americans don't understand sarcasm the way. Like that British Empire, like when they left the UK and came here, I think they didn't bring the sarcasm with them because British people are very fucking sarcastic. So there you go. This was sarcasm. Let's move on to
what do we got?
This is a fucking hilarious. This is our Prime Minister, King Mark Carney. He released this video yesterday. It's brand new. He just put that on his X, and he is speaking to us, the commoners. He explains to us how his government are about to implement a tax cut, and they will address the housing crisis, not by dealing with the immigration, but by building more houses. Here is King Mark Carney.
All right, let's see what he says.
That our economy is only strong when it serves everyone. That means bringing down costs for Canadians and helping them to get ahead. We will put more money in Canadians' pockets with a middle-class tax cut that will take effect by Canada Day, saving two-income families up to $840 a year. We will unleash the power of public-private cooperation, catalyze the housing industry, and create hundreds of thousands of new careers in the skilled trades. By building homes faster, at lower costs, and with smaller environmental footprint in construction and greater efficiency once families move in.
So basically, if you paid attention, he said that there is a tax cut coming from middle-class families of 2 parents for $800. Whoop-de-fucking-do. We're talking 1% tax cut is what he's talking about. And then he goes to say that the government and the private sector will start cooperating in order to build more houses. Brookfield, prefab, $5 billion investment. So basically what I got from that fucking video is that regular people like you and I are going to get 1% tax cut, while Brookfield is going to get billions in dollars of contract from the government in order to sell tiny houses or to build tiny houses and prefab homes. This is what I just heard. Instead of addressing the fucking problem of immigration that is causing our housing crisis, he will make sure to line the pocket of his friends and possibly his investment that is now in a blind trust that we cannot confirm at Brookfield. This is what I got from this video.
Has anyone actually asked him specifically, is he still invested in Brookfield? Has any reporter asked him that?
Yes, this is how it all started, Rosemary.
Well, they asked about a blind trust, but have they specifically said, do you still have money in Brookfield?
Rosemary asked if we could see his investment. I believe it was either Rosemary or the other girl that was there.
Well, I don't think they mentioned Brookfield. I think they talked about blind trusts and they said investments. But I mean, specifically, are you still invested in Brookfield as the investment vehicle or whatever Brookfield is? I don't know if it's a hedge fund or a.
It is the equivalent. I'm gonna Google it right now to see if anybody has ever asked. But I remember him being asked, and he said, "I will." He literally put it in a blind trust before he had to put it in a blind trust in order to hide his investments. That's basically what he did. So when he got questioned by Rosemary, she asked,
"Will we ever Rosemary in her place?" No one's asked about it. Like they're all terrified, right?
And that's the thing. That is exactly it. He's put it the smackdown from the get-go, and now they don't have the balls to ask because you're kind of biting the hand that feeds you.
Well, yeah, for sure. And if you remember, so remember when we were like covering just before the election and on the election, it was Rosemary, the CBC anchor, who was just like cheerleading for Carney, cheerleading for the Liberals. I actually didn't realize that was the same woman who weeks earlier we had, had a laugh about the look inside yourself, Rosemary. It was only a couple weeks ago when
It
I was
is
like,
the big white woman
person. So they must have taken her out back and been like, listen, Rosemary, here's how it works. It's time to look inside yourself and see if you want to keep working here or not.
So all I'm seeing, look what happens when I Google this. So basically, is Mark Carney still invested in Brookfield? Brookfield in the spotlight, March 28th. Mark Carney comes clean on stock option, March 28th. March 17th. So it looks like Mark Carney held $6.8 million of Brookfield's options. So this came out on March 17, 2028. It is it's an asset management. So Brookfield, from my understanding, and our smart listeners can correct me, but it is the equivalent of BlackRock, just on a smaller scale. But look at this. Everything is from April. It seems like they have
nothing in May, right? No one's asking any questions.
The last one, May 5th, is the latest one here. And why scrutiny of Mark Carney's Brookfield ties isn't going away anytime soon? Let me add to that title. Yet nobody's talking about it. Yet nobody's asking him about it. Yet everybody seems to just move on because they know that they can't ask. Ah, shit. Of course, it's a locked one that you need to pay. Sorry, Financial Post, you ain't getting my fucking money.
Yeah, I'm reading about it too, and it even so most of his holdings in Brookfield are in options, right? Which, for the audience who isn't sure what that means, an option is basically like a ticket that gives you the right to buy a stock at a certain price, but not the responsibility. Essentially, you get a free ride. There's no risk to it. And most of his options are in Brookfield, but it says here the options, if he still holds them, will be worth about $6.8 million. And I suspect he probably has a whole lot of other ones. But it says it's unclear if he gave them up when he left the firm to enter politics. And there's nothing on Canada's insider disclosure system to indicate that he did. So again, like, those questions are absolutely valid. And the fact that he's pushed back so hard on them, to me, is reason
it's a strong
for why,
indicator. Yeah,
media should be all over this, but no one's talked about it ever since Rosemary got put in her place. And it sounds like word got out that you don't ask these kind of questions about Mr. Carney, or you might find yourself in hot water, and which is obviously not at all how media is supposed to work. They're supposed to be going after when they smell blood in the water, they're supposed to get aggressive. And now they put their head in the sand and walk away.
But you know why? Because they got in trouble, Rosemary being the perfect example, and now she is just not questioning him at all. So obviously it's working. And funny enough, the two people that always report on him is the bald-headed fuck. That is, do you remember that guy? Like the bald-headed CBC guy? He's creepy as shit. To me, a bald guy with no facial hair just looks weird. Unless it's a medical condition. Yeah. And then Rosemary.
You need that facial hair if you're going to be bald.
But did you know that Mark Carney left Brookfield Asset Management on January 16th, 2025, when he resigned as the chairman and head of Transition Investing to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada? He literally stopped working there. And he wasn't just a fucking employee. He was chairman and the head of Transition Investment. Like, tell me that does not sound like the perfect type of title that would have seen prefabs that probably dealt with that $5 billion investment that they made in a prefab home company. Mm-hmm. And the same guy is now telling us that he's going to have the private sector with the government build houses. Like, tell me this does not sound like the perfect investment plan. If your goal is to make money, tell me this is not how you do it. Like, tell me this is not how you do it. How much do you want to bet that within the next 6 months, somehow the company that Brookfield bought that I should learn by heart so that I can see, that I can ding, remember, because people are never going to look at who owns what, right? They're going, oh, yeah, they choose right. That's a good company. Yeah, it's owned by Brookfield, asshole. But how much do you want to bet that the company that owns the company that Brookfield's own that is in prefab houses gets contract with the federal government within the next 6 months to a year? How much do you want to bet?
I think there's a real good chance. A real.
See, I don't even have to put it. See, I don't even need to put it anymore. I'm just gonna point at it.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and that. I mean, we're gonna be on top of it. I don't know who else is gonna be talking about. I'm sure some people will, but we're definitely going to be.
Yeah, but I want to tell it to our listeners so that they can flag it in their head. Okay, so a unit of Brookfield Asset Management agreed to acquire Modular Group, MODULAIRE Group, a European designer of modular workspaces backed by TDR Capital for $5 billion. So there you have it. So we are talking about Modular Group or TDR Capital. If you see those two numbers with one government contracts for housing, ding, 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 that proves my point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And as I always say, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality? 6 months.
Yeah, I'm reading it. It really, it's not at all clear that he actually got rid of these investments in Brookfield. So it makes everything he's doing highly suspicious, especially when it is directly related to the wheelhouse of where these companies are operating. For example, tiny homes.
It's all a coincidence, but it's all a coincidence, Rob. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. It's
Yes,
a coincidence, has nothing to do. Obviously, as he said last week, Rob, do you not remember? He's a Catholic. And the reason he decided to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party and become prime minister is because he wants to serve like a good Christian. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's going to make millions, if not billions of dollars. Okay, Rob? Look within yourself, Rosemary.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And yeah, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you, it's that kind of thing.
I got air to sell you. Good quality air.
Actually, Dasso says so much bald hate. Nah, brother, we're that's what we do here.
But you know what? If you do believe in Mark Carney, I have a great hair product that you can use to regrow your hair. Look at me. I am the proof.
Yeah. Had a full head of hair. You had hair like Joe Stradamus before, and now look at you.
Look at you.
I love Big Women. Says, did you know Post Media is owned by a company from New Jersey that owns every major newspaper across Canada and the U.S., including USA Today? Canada has no independent.
It's about 3 companies. It's about 3 companies worldwide that own every single piece of. If you look in the U.S., not too long ago, I cannot. No, but there used to be an act. I think it was in the 80s or the 90s that would prevent. There were rules, like imagine the CRTC in the US. I can't remember what it was called, but the FCC. They had rules where people could not own more than this number of percentage in a specific market. So let's say radio, let's say newspaper, let's say television. A company cannot own more than a certain percentage of what you would consider media outlets. They removed that. The FCC, the federal government passed, kind of removed that FCC law. So that opened the floodgate for everything. And if you track down, last time I had checked, it's something like 3 to 5 companies own every single media source. Doesn't matter that it's internet, doesn't matter that it's newspaper, doesn't matter that it's radio, television. They're all owned by the same 3 to 5. Remember what happened during the whoop whoop? Brought to you by Pfizer. It did not matter that you were left or right. I saw that at Fox. I saw that on MSNBC. I saw that on CBC. It did not matter. That right there tells you that our overlord don't care about politics.
Oh, no. It's like,
for YouTube purposes, I'm full of shit. I don't know what I'm saying. I've been punched in the face way too many times.
you know, as Joe Stradamus says, you know, it's not really about left and right; it's about up and down. You know, it's a big club, and we ain't in it, and that's sort of that's the way of the world. But you know, thankfully, there are people out there like us who are calling this out when we see it. But you're right, that is the way the world works. They don't really care about politics. They want us fighting each other while they pick our pockets.
Couldn't agree with you more. Jesus,
Oh,
you're
sorry.
beating some.
Take that. You take it. Yep.
You're beating some records here. Linda Watson is saying my mom and dad had 13 kids. I was the last one born in 1949. They were the best parents. We had the cleanest house for miles, and it was my mom who did most of the cleaning.
That's
13
cool.
kids, 14 kids. No, 13
Wow.
kids.
Can you imagine the work for some mom of the year right there to be able to have
that's slavery right there. That is legal slavery right there. Did you guys own land, Linda? Because I would see the value if you have 13 kids.
Yeah, that's
you have
crazy.
land. You have
were
a
you guys
farm,
were you guys were the kids put to work like on the farm or anything like that?
They should be. Want to take this one?
Yeah, it says Brookfield in the Ukraine to build homes after the war. Makes sense why Carney was on his knees with Zelensky. Hope Zelensky told Canada, "Thank you. We had to waterboard to thank you." Yeah, he didn't want it. He didn't. Did he even eventually say thank you? Because I didn't see it.
Is it true that Brookfield is in Ukraine rebuilding houses?
Right now.
Are you fucking kidding me? I did not know that. Man, we have some smart fucking listeners if that's true. You want to research it while I let you guys know. If you're on X, if you're on YouTube, make sure to like, make sure to comment. Actually, if you're on X, make sure to restream. But if you're on X, before you reshare and you restream it, make sure to join us on YouTube so that you can join the conversation that you see. Like now it's over there at the bottom right of the screen. But you're missing a lot if you're on X. Join the YouTube channel. For our new listeners that are on YouTube, make sure to like. This always helps us. Make sure to comment. But also, if you want to participate, if you want to encourage what we do, there's a membership for $2.99 a month. That helps us, and that gives you access to our Discord server, our members-only Discord server, where this conversation that we're having right now continues 24 hours a day. Not only does it continue 24 hours a day, but we use the Discord server to pick some of the topics that we're going to talk about. Because a few of the topics that were chosen today, like the ostrich, that's Misfit. There was another topic about Maid, that was Robin and Nick. So not only will we use your topics, but we'll give you props on the show for your hard work. So $2.99 a month gives you access to the Discord server, the members-only Discord server. There it is. I'm done.
So Sasquatch says, no, I'm saying after the war. He's meaning after the war. Like,
no,
I think he was saying,
no, I agree.
Probably, but Sasquatch, you're not wrong, because I just did a quick Google search and it says Brookfield Asset Management, a Canadian multinational investment firm, has a significant presence in Ukraine, primarily through investments in real estate and infrastructure. So it may have been a guess, but it was a good one. And of course, you're right. They are, you know, they're going to get a shit ton of contracts to rebuild. And they're already in Ukraine.
I so wonder why he wants to continue giving to Ukraine, and he's been meeting with Zelensky. That cannot have anything to do with the fact that Brookfield Asset Management, that he was the main representative of until January 2025, have investments over there. Of course not. This is all, you know what, Sasquatch, you should be ashamed of yourself. Those are coincidences. Stop accusing King Mark Carney of doing the right thing. Wrong thing.
The wrong thing.
Not Gary.
Yeah. Remember, it's just about service for him. That's it entirely.
Service. You know what? He did service Donald Trump and JD Vance. Elbows up, bitches. I agree. There was a lot of service.
Sasquatch says a Canadian company. I would challenge that. I think its headquarters are in the USA for tax purposes.
It is possibly in the US. Yeah? He moved them. They moved them. But I had nothing to do with the election. It was just, again, a coincidence that it got moved not too long before he ran for the Liberal Party leader. But again, that's just there's just coincidence. Obviously, just like in the US, you know, you've heard of Epstein. Same thing. Coincidence.
Of course. Yeah. So what do you want to grab one more topic, or do you think we'll?
Well, I'll give you a choice. I have Mark Carney trying to explain why elbows up still matters today.
Okay.
Why we could talk about Billboard Chris's post about for the people who think that Pierre Poilievre wants to fight wokeness, or you've done some research with the non-Indigenous visitors that are now being turned away. So we could do that. All I'm going to mention is, hold on.
Yep.
All I'm going to mention is that the Windsor Tecumseh Lakeshore recount that happened, where there was a challenge where the Liberals were trying to get their majority. Turns out that the conservative Katie Borelli narrowly upholds win in federal Windsor area riding recount. So it seems like the Liberals weren't able to find Blizzard ballots to flip that recount.
The Nunavut one.
No. I'm being an asshole. Just saying this isn't Windsor. It has nothing to do with Nunavut. All I'm saying is that, unlike what happened in Milton, they weren't able to find new votes, like 200 something votes, and remove 29 for the Conservative, and somehow win by 21 votes. Again, coincidence.
It's always so many coincidences.
It just sucks that I don't believe in coincidences. It really sucks because so many of them to choose from. So do you want to touch the non-Indigenous visitors?
Yeah, let's do that
being
one.
Turned away from 2 BC public parks.
Public parks, that's right.
They're not private parks.
Video
They're
on
public.
that. Someone who explains kind of what's going on here and what that's all about. Because I didn't know about it until I think just yesterday myself. But it sounds, on your first glance, you're like, oh, that sounds racist, and of course it is. But it's the good kind of racist. It's against the race.
Oh, it's against white people.
Yes, that's
Oh.
okay.
Well,
Everyone
of course it's
knows
okay.
That one's
But you
okay.
know what? What would you rather have? Clean drinking water or have access to BC parks? I guess I'll take clean water.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Ayo.
So here's and just to give her some credit, this is Caroline Elliott and Van Caroline, who made a pretty informative video about exactly what's going on here.
You might be wondering, what's with all the fuss around the closure of Joffrey Lakes Provincial Park? 2 years ago, 2 First Nations unilaterally shut down the park, one of the most popular parks in BC, excluding any non-Indigenous British Columbians from accessing it, right in the middle of peak season. The nations had no legal authority to do so, yet the BC government not only acquiesced, but actually sent park officials to turn non-Indigenous visitors away. They repeated the closure last year, and again this year, and likely next year and the year after that too. Now it's easy to think, what's the harm in this? Well, it's important to understand that the Joffrey Lakes closure was done on the basis of the park being within the nation's traditional territory, where title has been asserted, but not established in the courts. So if we're now in a place where the mere assertion of title confers the right to prohibit public access to public spaces, then we all need to be aware that over 100% of BC's landmass is claimed as unceded traditional territory by one or more of the province's 200 plus Indigenous groups. That means we have to ask, what would prevent more closures like this, not just in other parks, but in relation to any other public lands? The reality is it's divisive, it sets a terrible precedent, and it's just plain wrong. One thing it isn't is complicated. BC's beautiful provincial parks belong to all British Columbians.
I gotta say, man, as somebody that does a lot of videos like this, where I'm just talking in my phone, walking around, she's well spoken. Like that, there was no cut. There was no cut in there. That was a one take video. Good for him, because no hesitation in her speech. Very well. I'm a big fan of communication, man. That woman, I don't know who she is, but fucking virtual high five to you.
It just got to the gist of the point, and wasn't sensational at all. About a pretty controversial topic. At the end where she said it's wrong, it is. I would have gone further. I would have said it's racist, right? It is. There's. It's just I don't understand.
A good type of racist.
Well, yeah, the left thinks, oh, well, there's good racism and bad racism. As long as you're doing the good racism, it's okay. You cannot you cannot right historical wrongs by repeating them. You know, there's no amount of racism that, oh, it's against the right kind of racial group. All it does is breed resentment, racial division, and social mistrust. And it almost makes you wonder, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what the left is trying to do. And of course, that, to me, that's exactly what's going on, right? The left thrives on racism, and they could see that it was actually going away. They couldn't have that, so they pumped this identity politics back into the discourse, back into the culture, and now we see it on the rise again. And they're the ones supposedly fighting against it, leading the charge against it, but they are the ones perpetuating it. They are the ones causing it. You can't, to anyone with half a brain, it makes perfect sense. You can't fight racism with racism. But at first I was a little confused, like, why would they do this? Once I started to see the left doing this, but now I think they know what they're doing. The demand for racism, especially on the left, far outstrips its actual supply. And so they needed to do something to create more of it. And this is exactly what they're doing.
So racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't
right.
believe that.
Yeah. Why do you hate? Why do you hate? Why are you so racist? Why do you hate white people?
Why do you hate white women so much?
Yeah.
Why do you hate our native brothers? Why?
Yeah, exactly. As Nick says, if people pay taxes to maintain provincial parks, they have the right to use them at any time. Common sense, right? That's the only way to run a society. We have a diverse society, and the second you start picking winners and losers and groups that are favored and groups that are not favored, everything's going to go to shit. And it's just, well, yeah, as Misfit says, don't be racist, just hate everyone equally. That's great advice.
That's me. That's me. If you want to know how I see the world, look at $1 Million Baby and look at what's the other movie? Gran Torino. The type of attitude that Clint Eastwood has, that's pretty much what I will become. He's my hero in those movies. This is what I will become. I just dislike everybody equally. I'm not racist.
Yeah, exactly,
I just
right.
fucking,
And
I don't care the color of your skin. I probably don't like you.
And that's the way to do it. And as she was saying,
that's the way to do it.
The claims that the tribe is making, they haven't even been proven in court. So now it's just, it requires nothing to shut down parks. All it has to happen is one Indigenous group says, we don't want white people here. And all of a sudden, that's what happens. I'd be curious to see what would happen if a black family tried to go, right? Because technically, the Indigenous people, I doubt they said we don't want white people. They probably said it's only for Indigenous people. But now you've got a black family, and that's like two woke ideologies clashing at once, right? What do you do?
But it had to be a black conservative family.
Yeah, if it was black, it'd be easy. It'd be easy for them. They'd be like, no, not allowed in.
But that's my point, right? So it has nothing to do with color. It has all to do with or political views.
Yeah,
but at the same time, man, we should just stop that bullshit, because I don't even blame natives for doing this. It's the government that's enabling them, right?
For allowing it. 100%.
Because obviously, I would much prefer go to parks where there's only white people, obviously, right? But they just won't let me. Again, okay, that's a joke. I'm going to do sarcasm again. It's a fucking joke. But this is exactly what it sounds like, right? Let me say what this means. I would, as a white person, I want to be able to go to a public park where there's only white people. You know why? Because when my ancestors showed up here, it became our land.
It was
and
sacred.
Guess what?
It's sacred to us. It's sacred.
It's sacred to us. And now that gives me priority. No diseases can catch me. Nothing can prevent me from going to my white people only park, because it is part of my heritage. And I'm hoping that the government will recognize my treaty.
Well, yeah.
That's basically what the fuck they're telling us. Does that not sound racist as shit?
No, that's exactly right. And of course it's racist. And everyone will clearly see it as racist. We all hear it as racist. And yet when the exact same thing happens in reverse, we pretend it's perfectly fine. Like what you're doing there, I think is, something that is a little tool that anyone can use. If you're wondering, is something racist, just mix the races around, reverse it.
Yeah.
See how say that out loud. See how that sounds. If you would never say that out loud, if you include Indigenous people or minorities, then you should not be doing it if it's white people either. That's just common sense. You can't fucking fight against racism with more racism. I don't know how the left got to this point. And of course we know how, because they don't actually want to fight against racism. They want to perpetuate racism, and this is how they're doing it. Identity politics only perpetuates the racism that they're pretending to fight against.
Always irony. It's
Yes.
the irony of it all, isn't it?
Exactly. As Misfit says, every land was conquered at some time. Exactly, right? That is the history of the world. There's no point in going back to every piece of land and saying, oh, well, they had it first, because someone had it before them. That's just, let's just fucking go look forward, look to the future, and just try to make our laws and policies as non-discriminatory as possible for every single race. And let's see what happens. Let's see where we go when we just eliminate discriminatory policies from government. Of course, the left can't do that because they require more and more racism in order to push their ideologies.
So let's try to be not racist. What a great message.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
How dare you? How dare you be so non-racist?
We'll probably
stop not being racist.
We'll put a pin on in there for the day. Thank you guys so much for being here and sharing the afternoon with us. You could have been anywhere in the world today, and you chose to be here with us. We're always going to appreciate that. For any new faces, and I see a couple out there, appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you guys come back. And anyone who wants to support us, if you like what we're doing here, if you think there's a need for a show like this, you can do so by becoming a member through the YouTube channel. There should just be a join button there. $2.99 a month. It will give you priority comments here on the chat, as well as access to the Discord server where we continue this conversation 24/7. You'll also be able to have an input on the shows that we talk about. As Nico was saying earlier, a lot of the topics we discuss today and every day come directly from the Discord server. Another way you can support us is through the super chat function. If you like anything that we're saying specifically and you want to give us a tip, you can do that through that. What is it on YouTube? Like, what does it look like? Does it like, where is it on the screen? Is it bottom right or is it
just the tip? I don't know. It's in my
just the tip. Yeah, if you guys want to give us just the tip, hey, we'll fall for that. We'll believe it.
It's right at the bottom of the chat. You have like a money button, and it's like a bill button, and you can give super chats.
So
Nevin, we will accept bribery.
Yeah, Nevin, great to see you. We do this every single day, noon Eastern time to 2:30ish. Actually, more like 2:30ish. Not really 2 these days, but yeah.
Unless you have to leave to take care of your child and bring him to the hospital.
Need stuff, doctors. What's wrong with these people? As if you've been watching a little bit today, you can see audience engagement is what the show is built on. So yeah, come back Monday and join the conversation. If you throw your comments there, we're going to take them. But especially if you do it as members, that's what the priority thing is. But even if not, if it's contributing to the conversation, if it's pushing forward, we're going to take that. As Dasso says, like the smash button. Oh yeah, so that was from a couple days ago.
I forgot that.
Not Dasso. Awesome. This ain't his first day.
Like that smash button,
guys. Like that smash button. And Misfit will accept bribery, but can't be bought. Exactly right. That's exactly. These guys are embodying the very essence of what this show is all about. Hopefully, folks, you guys have a safe weekend. Be safe. Have fun. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Or maybe you probably
just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip. Smash the like button. All of these things. We're gonna get some merch out there for you. Remember, on Monday we're doing the throne speech live. We're gonna have a watch party, so you're not gonna want to miss that. Those are always a lot of fun. We just it's a little less formal than the show. Not that the show is ever remotely fucking formal whatsoever. However, it's even less so. Yes, we are gonna make fun of King Charles on Monday. That is essentially what the watch party will be. We will do our show as well as normal, but we're also going to be doing the watch party for the throne speech. Misfit, it all starts with just the tip. That's right, bud. You get that just the tip in then, and then you're hooked. Then there's no going back. Have a great weekend, guys. We will see you Monday. Be safe.